talk about. So don't worry, we're going to be absolutely fine. I believe there are VODs on the internet, don't watch them. Here we go though, into pick and ban for game number 1. This is our brand new pick ban graphic, similar to those that have evolved overseas. However, I like our iteration of it. It's very clean, big fan. As our T1 will be starting off on our blue side like we were talking about, and Syndra will cop that first ban.
Syndra actually being banned away is actually quite a lot of respect. It's definitely something I like to see. Talia now also being banned away. So I wonder if Korea is actually going to keep something that we saw happening inside of the Kespa Cup as pretty much a mainstay, where blue just targets the enemy team and red targets traditional meta. Now we're getting Rek'Sai and Elise banned away, so I'm already not feeling...
There's a lot of sinners that have been removed. So that might be good news or bad news, because DAMWON looks to be putting a lot of emphasis on Cuzz's pickups. His 3 most played in solo queue this season so far have been Lee Sin, Elise, and Rek'Sai. So Lee Sin could just be the next ban, and then we'd be looking at so many power picks available. It's Akali that's taken off the board, thank goodness, because she's so extraordinarily strong, is the most banned champion in every other league at the moment. But T1, considering the set, and they'll lock it in. Nuguri right now is 100% win rate on set, and this is largely a pick away, but Roach has been playing a lot of him as well.
Soraka annihilates him in top lane.
I imagine
she basically invalidates him, but instead...
We're getting a large dose of new champions, and thankfully I have LS with me to talk about Aphelios. He is definitely the forefront of any sort of Aphelios analytics at this point in time. Ignore what Reddit has to say and ignore what he said on his stream. He knows everything about it. Miss Fortune also going to be picked up here. She's slated for some nerfs, but they're not exactly the biggest ones, so we're going to be seeing a lot of her come the next few weeks.
We're going to be seeing a lot of all of these champions for the next couple of weeks. The nerfs don't really even phase them. So, Miss Fortune and Gragas now picked up for T1. DAMWON with the Mordekaiser Aphelios R1, R2, and they're rounding it out with Lee Sin, which is really interesting.
Oh no.
So we're already at that kind of...
yep, the sinners are coming in.
Yeah, the vocabulary is getting there.
But,
a little bit.
But look at what happened. The Gragas was locked in. This is a flex pick between Cuzz and Effort. Could theoretically go into multiple hands here, but likely we're going to see Roach piloting the set towards the top side. And Gragas was always pretty good into the Lee Sin. Just felt like he did what Lee Sin did, but with more options, right?
Yeah, and I think the question right now that I'm asking is, do they ban Yasuo, or is DAMWON going to ban Yasuo, or are they going to respect the Gragas-Yasuo combo that used to be extremely popular? But remember, Crit Cloak was nerfed.
Yep.
And so that does impact Yasuo ever so slightly. LeBlanc being hovered by T1, that would be a very strange ban, because champions on T1 are already going to be incentivized to build magic resistance via the QSS. That's going to be necessary for Mordekaiser, which would then cause more problems for a champion like LeBlanc. DAMWON have to decide now on their last ban. It's going to be a Nautilus.
Wow, so not going to respect the potential Yasuo pick that's here. Oftentimes you'll see LCK teams very comfortably, at least in 2019, very comfortably pick a multiple AD lane situation if they have something like an Elise or a Gragas. They feel like magic damage jungler of this nature is enough to make it all right to pick only one damage profile from your laners. Often is the case with what they think. I don't know whether it's necessarily the best choice, but still could certainly come in here as that Thresh has been banned away on T1 side, and now DAMWON with their first pickup in the second round.
Braum is going to be locked in. So here's the big question. Does a mage support? No. Nope.
Leona's probably up there when it comes to the tank supports though, right?
She is.
Yeah.
She is. Doesn't mean it's okay. So
give me fakey Yasuo right now. Do it, T1.
The whole thing about DAMWON is they're all extremely short range, even Aphelios, outside of when he has that other gun available. Don't even ask me the name. Okay. But
Wait, is it the gravitum, the infernum, the crescendum, the somethingdom?
Lady Antebellum? What? Where are we going?
Coronium? No. That's not allowed here. That's not allowed.
That's not allowed.
No.
Yeah, they stopped that at the door here.
They did. They stopped that at the door well and
so,
fully.
Leona ends up coming in as a means to get solely on Aphelios, I'm assuming, but also because she's the best, well, she's arguably the best tank support inside of the meta right now. But DAMWON Gaming had really clear weaknesses inside of their draft by R4, and the way that T1 ended up responding to it was just a handshake, straight up fighting and straight up aggression of that sorts. And so they have this very wonky combo-y type of team composition that now has to engage onto DAMWON. Because of the rumble in the mid lane, Gragas not going to get as much value by building pure glass cannon. And so that'll be something that is obviously going to weaken him ever so slightly. There's also a lot of champions on the side of DAMWON that Set does not personally like going up against.
The thing that I do like about T1's composition is the Wombo is just despicable. You layer, like, on top of the ultimate coming out from Set, you can then put down the bullet time, the equalizer, like everything can pile in. You can follow up the CC with the solar flare coming out, and then Cuzz can potentially ruin it all with a gigantic cask into that pack-up of champions. But there is a lot of AoE damage and a lot of mid-game focus from this T1 composition. So if there's ever going to be that time where a Cinecomp could potentially work, it's with a lot of these champions paired on top of each other that can fight around 25 minutes extraordinarily well.
And that's going to be the main question here. DAMWON has an extremely scary 1.5 item team comp, 2 item. They have some split push access, but again, it's all going to come down to T1's engages. We're going to see what that ends up meaning for them.
Well, here we are onto the Rift for game number 1 of LCK Spring 2020. Not going to be too many fan chants here. We could fake it like we did in the Kesper Cup, but I don't want to, because I want the fans to be able to, you know, really come in and give it their all with the fan chants when they're finally allowed into LoL Park. If you are one of our global fans that traveled out here to Korea, I know there's a few of you that were looking to try and get access to a few of these games. We're really sorry that this has ruined at least the League of Legends side of your holiday, but I hope you're still enjoying the show regardless. And come down to LoL Park. There's a lot of cool stuff to see, even if you can't get into the arena.
I just want to point out that it seems like Teddy's misfortune is having a bit of flatulence.
Yeah, there are some issues down there. Nuclear as well is just switching weapons as much as he possibly can.
Taco Bell was having a discount before the match. For her, I'll tell you that much.
Whoopsies.
All right, well, looks like Gragas is going to be starting on his blue camp. And we'll have to see how everything ends up transpiring. Mountain Drake going to be the first one of the game. So we'll see who ends up getting some value from that. Now, Roach up here in this top lane is not actually going to be going the inspiration tree. He's also not going to do the adaption that some Korean sets have been doing, which is Gathering Storm Transcendence.
Okay, yeah, not going to go into the sorcery tree here. He does get a decent punch onto Nuguri, but Nuguri doesn't seem too worried about that. Mordekaiser often pretty comfortable into melee matchups. How's the Set matchup for a Mordekaiser? Have you experienced this one so far?
I've played it quite a bit, and I've seen it in solo queue. Set's definitely favored in the laning phase. And then once he gets to... Once Mordekaiser completes his first item, Set can lose. And then Set can bring it back at later points inside of the match. So Set's favored for about the first 15 minutes. And then Mord sort of takes over, depending on how Set itemizes. Now, however, because of the Rise in Mordekaiser aspect, that's a lot of magic damage.
Oh, yeah.
And also because of the amount of CC that DAMWON has, Roach can definitely be incentivized to stack X-Drinker into Merc Treads and get those resistances to remain super relevant and actually maybe even stifle Mordekaiser's spike.
Well, you saw Nuclear did safely make it to level 2. Of course, Aphelios doesn't exactly have the strongest level 1, lacking a button and all that. You can, of course, swap your guns over and over again, but it doesn't do a massive amount. See how this lane is going to pan out, though. I'd assume that Teddy and Effort should have a little bit of early game control. The Haymaker and the Death's Grasp coming down, but Nuguri is very comfortable in this lane at the moment.
That was a really bad trade by Roach. I have no idea why he Haymakered that early. That was definitely not part of the combo.
No. It's supposed to be, I assume, utilizing the shield.
Yeah.
A little bit better than that.
Or just the true damage in general. Utilizing the grit, that would be...
All right. Just things should have been better in that moment.
A lot. Yeah, he's trading in very bizarre ways from the get-go. He's also down, actually, quite a bit of CS. We've only had 4 waves up until this point. So he gets actually a pretty good trade, though, right there.
Yeah, that was a better one. He actually utilized the shield, at least proportionally. It looks like Nuguri doesn't seem to mind too much, ahead by an entire minion wave at this stage. As Faker and ShowMaker going basically CS for CS. And Teddy a slight advantage towards the bottom side and gets a cheetah recall as well, as you can see. And will move back with some boots and a longsword.
He's going to be back in the lane. Everything is completely fine. So, I mean, this is quite literally the cheetah recall. They come back to a lane state that's favorable for them. MF has better items, and now Nuclear. The question that you ask yourself is, do you lose lane control and recall here, or do you stay in lane? He's down some mana, and then he would also be down combat stats. He just sold his red potion to get tier 2 boots.
Okay.
And he's changing his guns, and I'm waiting for production to tell me what that means.
Still, he's doing his Aphelios research right now as Nuguri lands another Death's Grasp. As I think as soon as he hits ult and Roach is like away from his turret, he's just dead. Unless he's able to get himself back to base. But this lane is going from bad to worse, to be honest. Nuguri just with a whole bunch of control. Cuzz, we have to state again, was probably, that was adorable, was probably our best Gragas in 2019. He played extraordinarily well when he was, of course, playing for Dragon X. Had some beautiful compositions, even with Neon, who wasn't necessarily known as a Yasuo player. Some of their Gragas Yasuo games together were extraordinarily good. So excited to see whether Fake is going to bust out his famous Yasuo as the games go on, but not going to be this game, despite it being available. And Roach gets back to lane, does have himself a Kindle Gem, some extra CDR, certainly something that Set wants to be building up for himself.
Well, when I see the Kindle Gem, I already feel like I'm not going to be very happy about this one, Alice. That is definitely signifying a Black Cleaver.
Hey, that allows him to be the most utility-focused a Set can be. I'm okay with it.
You know what? Let me break this down for you, okay?
Yeah, break it down.
There's a magic damage mid laner.
Okay.
Magic damage jungler.
Yeah, but Teddy's not magic damage.
Okay, Teddy, let me tell you, Set doesn't apply Black Cleaver to lots of targets in a fight.
So he just needs to apply it to Teddy's target.
There's this really cool feature that Set as a champion has. He builds up grit, and then he can expend it with his W to deal true damage to the reduced armor that is then irrelevant. You like that? You see
yeah, no, I like that.
That really combos very well.
Sort of like the idea of Black Cleaver on Yasuo.
It's very
just
good.
Really not great at all for like multitudes of reasons. Okay, so that's not so good. Let's see whether Roach is going to be able to pick it up for item number 2, you know? He gets a mulligan. This is the first game of the season.
Well, it's not making me think that they've actually researched that well. We have seen players from other regions as well build Black Cleaver. It's just actually bad.
Yeah. Well, you know, there's always next game. As Teddy just trying to clean up some of these minions as they head towards the turret, is going to continue to hold on to that minion lead as Faker does find himself the Harpoon. As the first Drake is going to go over to Canyon. Very comfortable solo there for the Lee Sin, but he has fallen down a few camps. To Cuzz, who's been power farming towards that level 6 mark, and has made it a little bit earlier than Canyon. ShowMaker gathers his first blue, will go home, has teleport available to get himself towards the lane, and Infernal is going to come in. So we're going to have Ocean Soul or Cloud Soul for our first Soul of LCK Spring 2020.
Personally, I would really like to see Ocean Soul. That's the one that would spice things up. Cloud Soul.
I like Cloud Soul a lot, dude. The movement speed on ult.
You just like it because it matches your jacket.
And it's also really good on Mordekaiser. Because he gets to book it after you in the death realm, you know? It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not so great on ShowMaker, who gets to, I guess, run fast for a bit until his Realm Warp goes off, and then he basically doesn't have the movement speed after he's teleported, which doesn't feel great. But Nuclear could utilize it. I think it's all right on DAMWON's side. T1, of course, can utilize it very well, especially Faker, able to throw down the equalizer and then chase after anyone with extraordinary speed. Effort as well, as engage power will be heightened. But I like that both of these compositions to start off our season have very different modes. I feel like we're looking at a DAMWON that wants to try and scale and a T1 that wants to find the mid-game fight. But it looks like DAMWON are looking for it first. That's a disengage equalizer as Hoit still going aggressive, finds one of the knockups there onto Effort as the Death Grasp comes back. Good flash comes out there, but Effort very close to getting stunned. The barrel for the slow is good news as Effort gets into the brush, but I think he's just given himself up for the ghost as T1 will suffer a first blood loss with their support being left to the Wolves.
Yeah, I have no idea what Effort was just doing. He Zenith bladed in, but it didn't look like he was on the same page as the other T1 members. I'm just going to take a look at it. They're doing Scuttle Crab, and then Faker wants to clear the control ward, and also, Cuzz just used some abilities. Faker almost had his Rumble bar completely full as well. This was just very peculiar. I have no idea.
And Effort walked back to get a stun onto Nuguri as well. I feel like if he had just kept walking down, it might have been a better story for them. But slightly odd first blood to come down here, but will be in favor of DAMWON. And that is not good news for T1 fans. They want to be trying to own this mid-game as much as possible, but I feel like they still spike a little bit later as far as when we get to these skirmishes where you can utilize these AoE ultimates. Nuclear throwing down his Severum there, trying to get a bit of extra damage. There's a bunch of those, what's that one called? The basically melee boomerang gun? Can we just call it boomerang? That helps me. It's Crescendum.
There you go.
I have a cheetah little thing here because I mean, I feel like every commentator's worst nightmare is basically Aphelios because he has like so many nuanced names of
Captain
stuff.
Flowers.
No, Captain Flowers is just extraordinarily good. That's different.
Captain Flowers.
I'm an old man, remember? I don't have much of a memory left.
Yeah, I mean that's fine.
Yeah.
You know.
I'm using the boomer excuse. Is that worthy? Is that okay?
I definitely think it is. Yeah.
All right, nice.
I can respect it.
Sometimes it's good to be a boomer.
Well.
I like to think. T1 still hold on to a slight gold advantage, though. It's just because they've been farming out a lot better. You can see Roach able to actually utilize Nuguri, spending some time in the river. Nuguri did get the first blood, so he will still be ahead in gold, but the CS gap has certainly been alleviated as Roach moves towards that black cleaver that you're looking forward to so much. Now Cuzz is going to find DAMWON doing Shelly.
Everyone is...
Oh, can he actually get it? He does! Steals it away and body slams maximum range. Maybe a little bit off time there as Cuzz did get himself out, but that was a massive head crack coming through from Roach as now Nuguri gets flashed out of the way of his Q. I don't think he'll have enough damage as somehow Effort picks up the first kill of the fight off in the back line, grabs it with the Ignite. No, doesn't even need to use the Ignite. Just bops him with an auto, and T1 steal away Shelly and grab themselves 2 kills. That is going to get you right back in the game.
And so this was actually almost kind of like a mini game of chicken where neither team would realistically be able to start the Rip Herald without the other starting it first, and then they would just have to come over and collapse. And because Canyon felt compelled by a cosmic force to do it initially, he thought that he wasn't on a ward. Roach had just placed one a few seconds prior, and T1 were able to collapse and make that happen. And so all of a sudden we finally have a gold lead that is on the side of T1.
Well, I mean, they had a gold lead before this, actually. It's now propelled itself about 1,000 gold forward. But they were able to give a bunch of plates also over to Faker in the mid lane as well, meaning that that turret is now missing a bit of that defense. And we'll see whether they can crack that open, because for this composition, they want a wide open map as much as possible.
We just take a look at it, and Gragas, he gets the steal with the cast. Roach comes in with the superplex onto Nuguri. And then right there, Effort actually landed a beautiful solar flare, avenging his death from earlier, as Mordekaiser eventually was made quick work of, despite trying to bring Set into the Shadow Realm.
Yeah, and I think he could have used that one on Cuzz a little bit earlier to deny the steal away of Shelly there. Of course, some of what we see Mordekaiser utilize the most for in pro play is to just get junglers out of any sort of smite contest so that you can guarantee objectives. That wasn't on Nuguri's mind. He was trying to win the next subsequent team fight instead of wanting to do that one. Maybe just thought that Canyon would be able to lock that one down comfortably himself, but unfortunately not able to happen, and also was punished for it afterwards. So T1 now firm control over this game. I say firm, you know, 1,000 gold lead, and a Drake disadvantage isn't necessarily the firmest control, but still feeling pretty good. Vision, as you can see there, Hoit is going to be winning out, but otherwise it's all about T1 for Vision score.
T1 now going to pick themselves up an Infernal Dragon, and then we're going to get the real prize, which is...
If we start the 2020 season, oh, we do. We get Earth, Wind, and Fire. Love it. Love it. This is my favorite array of Drakes. And also, now we get to see what I was talking about with the extra movement speed on a lot of these champions after they utilize ultimate abilities.
I want to point out to you about how the Cloud Drake symbol looks like a silhouette for a rooster.
It does a little bit.
Right?
Or a cockatoo if you're in Australia.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and
it just needs to be yellow.
You pointed out earlier that the ocean dragon looks like a plesiosaur.
Yeah.
So
plesiosaur, I believe, is the one.
We're learning what their evolution comes from.
Uh-huh.
You know, so.
The plesiosaur, for those playing at home that don't know their dinosaurs super well, it looks like the Loch Ness Monster. And I believe it was that big thing in Jurassic World that murdered the T-Rex at the end or something like that. Sorry to give away spoilers. It was one of the dinosaurs, and he just came up and ate it. As Roach is just punching a whole bunch of these minions. We'll clear out this minion wave very comfortably. Control ward around near that alcove to stop any funny business. And T1 just happy to play this one out. They've in fact got the game state to a pretty decent clip for themselves, and now able to play around objectives as they move towards their power spikes. Leandri's picked up first item here for Faker. Does so much work for the Rumble. Happy to see it picked up first here.
A really nice item to see. Gragas has Predator Boots right now, going to be moving into Zanya's Hourglass as his second item, but you can already see that there is a bit of magic resistance already built on several members on DAMWON.
Yeah, not going to be the most high value Sorcerer's Shoes purchase.
And there's the QSS by Set. I hate that part, man.
What?
Set's abilities, the way that they line up, they leave the spellcasters with 4 HP.
Oh, no.
And then if your minions are attacking them and they're clumped, you can't
actually miss every single one.
Oh, it feels terrible. Oh, it feels so awful.
So the idea is to give them a little auto attack first, and then boop them together.
You could do that, or you can actually put a second point in each.
Ah, okay.
That fixes it as well.
Helps you out. Well, Cuzz moving on down. We'll spot a whole bunch of control wards here, defending Nuclear and Hoit as the solar flare does go wide, gets himself the stun, as has to use the cleanse to get out of the way of the Zenith Blade, so effort, not a miss there. Did manage to get himself a Summoner's Spell in trade for his ultimate. T1 parking themselves around this river. Still 2.5 minutes until the Drake, but it looks like DAMWON are considering looking for a fight as Body Slam gets Cuzz out of there.
And at this point in the game, we're probably just going to be coasting into 2.5 core items and then probably fighting over a Cloud Drake. This is also the part of the game where I talked about earlier. Once Mordekaiser gets his first core item, he usually takes back over against Set.
Yep, and right now we're seeing that Nuguri is still good at the game as effort. He finds the Shield of Daybreak. Good flash there to avoid getting booped back with the cast, because Canyon did have to use that though, and won't be able to contest for this Scuttle Crab. Shirley has made her presence known here. Second Rift Herald, of course, is what that means. Shirley was what we decided on during the Kesper Cup, as far as the name of the second Rift Herald. Right? You're still okay with Shirley?
I'm okay with Shirley.
Okay, good.
She hasn't... Okay, well,
Teddy?
he does stuff.
You just pressed R to make sure that ShowMaker couldn't get to his turret earlier, I guess? Huh. Got a bit of CDR.
He was like trying to be the parked car that doesn't move.
Yeah, I guess
You know?
so. That was very strange. It was an odd utilization of that particular ultimate ability, but as you can see, DAMWON have actually made themselves catch up in the gold department. Teddy demonstrating why junglers hate their lives at the moment. These camps that respawn only means that the laners are able to pick up the camps more effectively than the junglers.
I think, Atlas, I think we almost have it.
What have we got?
Take a look at Faker's item.
Oh, that's Rylai's.
That's what you think.
That's Rylai's, dude. That's
It's
all
an
the
Oblivion-
components to a
No,
Rylai's.
it's also all the components to the Forbidden Book, that of which we will not speak its name.
It's not going to be purchased, LS, okay?
He's
not
gonna
going
buy
to
it,
do that
Atlas.
to us. No, he would
He's
not do
gonna
that.
do it.
This is Faker. This is the most popular player in the world, LS. He would never do that to
The
us.
enemy has a Mountain Drake and magic resistances, and he's gonna get the M-Pen.
Stop talking about it. It is not going to happen. Faker,
Atlas,
just go back and complete
I don't
it.
want to talk about
Go
it.
back and complete the Rylai's Crystal Scepter and make us all know how good you are.
Needs to get
He's
the
going to get
Void
Death
Staff.
Grasp first. As he's trying to run away, Scrap Shield is on cooldown, has to put down the ultimate. Equalizer not necessarily working as Nuguri puts him in the Death Realm, and then in the Death Chamber immediately afterwards. Roach throws down the ultimate though, and that's going to be a kill going over to Teddy. Effort goes golden, trying to keep himself alive, but the Calibrum is there coming in from the backline of Nuclear. Helps take down that kill. It is going to be Canyon that secures it in the end, and this is a big win for DAMWON as Shelly is getting to work in the middle.
Shelly is furious right now.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Oh no,
You saw
Faker's
it.
let us down. I believed so hard.
He was supposed to bring balance to the force.
He was.
Atlas, not.
Oh no.
Oh man.
I'm just
Wow.
imagining Faker now saying that he had the high ground, but he just died. Look at this moment.
Mordecai and Nuguri came in, he told him don't even try it. And just like Anakin, he'll get burned alive on the lava.
It's exactly what happened. Oh no.
Roach comes over to try to do some stuff. Now this is actually bad news bears for T1's team composition. We talked about this in the draft phase. They get reliant on Wombo. Faker and Cuzz both not going to be getting to deal a lot of damage because you've incentivized the opponent to build magic resistances. They also happen to win the lottery by rolling a Mountain Dragon. That amplifies it ever so slightly, but when you build something like Oblivion Orb that gives you the magic penetration, and then you're going to complete it into Morello, you're going to lose out on a lot of value from that M-Pen. And now all that you're really getting is Grievous Wounds. No one cares about that. Okay?
Well, I mean,
These team fights aren't being
you
conducted
saw
via sustain.
there is 1/5
Yeah,
of
break it
Nuclear's kit
Okay.
that gives him healing, okay?
Oh, okay.
On Q and auto attack.
Yeah.
All right? Meaning that
8%,
having,
by the
having
way.
that denial,
What's 8% of 300?
a rather small number.
Yeah, thanks.
But it is still a number.
Okay.
Is it above 0? Yes, it is. Therefore, Morello doing something. As Severum trying to get work done onto Teddy, but he just boops it. Good night, sweet prince. Nuclear's not going to try that one again. What?
She hit him with the coronavirus.
Wow.
Oh no.
Wow. And Teddy had just completed Infinity Edge. That's when Nuclear like presses tab and goes, oh.
Oh no.
Oh no.
That was pretty impressive, the amount of damage that amassed.
Yeah. That's what happens when you crit and press Q at the same time, I guess.
You know what that just reminded me of? Did you ever play Super Punch-Out?
Yeah, I did.
You know Narcissus Prince?
Oh, I don't
How
remember
he
the
looks
names.
really
Damn.
fancy.
Yeah.
And like dancing? That's how
Yeah.
Aphelios just
Oh,
looked?
and that dude,
Yeah.
you can actually catch him in like an animation
Yes,
lock
yes.
and kill him like basically instantly.
Yes.
Oh, that is what happened. But Nuclear's the one that killed himself on an MF. He walked in, he's like, look at my cool lifesteal gun, and then died.
Yep.
Well, yeah, that was a subpar maneuver You can see actually, as far as the CS is concerned, ShowMaker doing great things, now able to take solo gold by killing that turret as well. He's the one true part of the force as we have a look at the pro view.
Okay, well.
That was a big old crit. Look at a third of his health.
I like how Teddy, there was no reaction whatsoever.
He might have just said too easy or something.
There it is.
Little sentry turret coming out there as Nuclear's got his melee gun and switches to the Gravitum here, trying to deter Effort from clearing out his ward. Does so effectively. As now he's going to face check Cuzz. Barrel comes in, gets a flash out of the 80 carry. It's exactly what you want. Cuzz at the right place at the right time.
And also, Roach looks like he's transitioning into tank set. He has now picked up the Spectre's Cowl, probably going to go into the Spirit Visage, and then go on from there while just relying on the Black Cleaver. And I mean, this makes the Cleaver even worse of an item.
But I do like Spirit Visage on set.
I do like it, yeah.
Given his extra health regen that you get from your grip, it can work out. Much like building Spirit Visage on Garen, if you're a Garen player, just feels great to get your health back so extraordinarily quickly. See whether Roach is going to be able to deliver some of the tankier members of DAMWON into the team, because I'm looking at it and I'm thinking that as soon as he tries to throw down the ultimate, Nuguri just puts him in into the death realm, and then he isn't able to do that AoE damage because he's now away from everyone, and that AoE isn't going to be as effective. And Nuguri's going to be the target for that. So Roach, you can see he's built a QSS immediately, trying to make sure that that isn't going to happen. And we'll see whether DAMWON can fight around that effectively to get their team fight working. Otherwise, T1 might be able to get their wombo that they're looking for. Might be on the cards right now as 4 members of T1 now hanging around this Drake that's going to be spawning in 10 seconds time.
And this is what it really is going to come down to, is what is T1 going to do as the game keeps developing? Because from this point forward, DAMWON's team composition is going to keep getting slightly stronger.
Yeah, Death Realm coming down at exactly the right time for Nuguri to deny a lot of that work, as he does use it on the Leona. The 1-for-1 trade is going to be top for support, though, so something that T1 fans are going to be pretty happy about. Now 4 members of T1 not with position on this Drake. DAMWON have decided to pick that one up. They've got the Crescendum turret down. Canyon safeguards himself back to his team, as now it's going to be a smite fight. Great door to be held up there from Hoit, as the Dragon is going to reset. Faker goes golden and flashes to get himself out of the way. That gets him out of the ultimate from Braum as well, and they're able to secure that Drake. So 2 Drakes apiece for both of our teams.
And this is a really key victory for T1. It denies DAMWON that match point Drake in order to get the Cloud Soul anyway.
Yep.
And they keep themselves afloat at a really key moment. Mordekaiser not super online yet into becoming a behemoth that threatens so much more than just currently death realming and killing one and then dying immediately after.
Yep.
He's still going to need more. Oh no, they got Teddy.
Yeah, got another fight. Teddy stays alive for a little bit longer, but Nuguri is eventually going to be able to grab him. I believe that was with the passive, as the stun then lands onto Effort.
Baron.
It's a 1-2 punch onto the bottom lane, and DAMWON should be able to get the Baron.
Are they not going to start it?
Maybe they're just looking for some more kills here. Faker does have ultimate very, very soon. Fighting in the pit could be dangerous.
Nuguri has Death Realm available, so they could Death Realm Cuzz, and also with the Philios and Leandries on Mordekaiser, plus Rise, this Baron melts like no tomorrow. Now, I know this about Aphelios. The red thing, Baron doesn't like it.
Yeah, no, that's a good one onto the Baron. Absolutely right. And you can see it's going down very, very quickly as Roach, I mean, he can get himself in there if he wants to, and does dive on forward, finds the showstopper, gets it into the backline, doesn't do necessarily so much damage, as the face crack isn't enough, and Roach is going to flash, but still die from the auto attack that was in the air. And now Faker, he tries his hand at stopping this Baron as well, but he's in the death realm, and Nuguri is going to put him into the ground once again. Effort and Cuzz now trying to stop the next attempt on the Baron, but they're just going in one after the other. This is not the coordinated play we want to see out of T1. As now DAMWON just turned one more time. Effort going to be punched into the ground. One more. It is going to be the ultimate. The bullet time coming out from Teddy that secures a kill onto Hoit, but it's not going to secure the Baron. And DAMWON do put that one away. 3,000 gold now the lead, and that is only going to expand.
And let's take a look at how this all actually ended up happening. T1 wanted to get the gold, and the flash cleanse out of Teddy ends up bopping Canyon, but in doing so, Nuguri able to get onto Teddy, got the 900 gold shutdown, by the way, as then Effort shortly thereafter was locked up. We watch how this follow-up fight ends up being sequenced. Roach goes in for the superplex onto the team, ends up actually pulling them out of the equalizer.
Yeah.
And so a little bit of anti-synergy there. Set dies inside of the wall, as then Faker gets dogged down by the Mordekaiser. And at this point forward, we're going to look at the items. This is where things start becoming more and more scary for the champions on DAMWON, whereas Rumble's going to be basically the same. Set's going to be the same. Gragas
Another team fight here into the mid lane as the equalizer was already down. Nuclear threw out the ultimate, and ShowMaker's going to be able to complete that kill. 2-0-4 now on the rise, who is quietly destroying this game. He Flame Horizon Faker at 29 minutes. That's pretty nutty. I mean, the Rumble hasn't been able to farm as effectively as this map has gotten shorter, but still, that is a lot of minions that this Rise has been able to kill for the first 30 minutes of this game. And now DAMWON with the Baron buff are going to push towards this outer turret. 3 items now completed on the Aphelios as well. He is very strong and only going to get stronger as this game moves forward. Having a look at the guns he's got himself the Graviton. Helps slow everyone down. See whether he can get those roots in place with the Q as well, whose name I am never going to remember. ShowMaker just grabs himself a red buff because he may as well. He's got to keep getting these minions to stay at least 100 CS ahead of Faker. And I feel like this is the ShowMaker that we saw at Worlds, not the ShowMaker that we saw in the LCK playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, right now, DAMWON are just in such a commanding lead, and it's because 4 champions on the side of T1 have peaked. Oh, essentially, they have...
Yeah, I mean, that last team fight that they lost is the fight that they were supposed to win the game.
Right, that was the saving point was at the Dragon where they can try to stabilize the game. Right here, again, they panic, they try to go in on Aladios, and then he just has a lot of answers.
Yeah, it does. He's got a lot of everything. And actually had Gravitum ready there as well with, I believe, the Crescendum also, so he'd stacked up all of the little chakrams, and then able to utilize them with his other gun is a pretty cool feature that you have, especially given added damage to a slowing auto attack. Not a lot Ever could do. As now he's going to face check Nuguri. Death Grasp comes in, and good night. Leona. Cuzz wants to help, but I don't know whether he's going to be able to as he throws in a barrel at the last second. Isn't enough to help anything, and DAMWON retain control of this game entirely.
And so now, this is a really uncomfortable spot if you're a T1 fan. Everything will come down to Teddy, pretty much, at this point. And now Gragas actually, I want to correct myself, he actually did become a little bit stronger. He actually purchased a Void Staff.
I like it.
He was building towards that. I like it too. It is necessary.
You're able to use that in conjunction with the flat magic pen to legitimize it.
I might have left the desk.
All right.
Yeah. But I'm
Imagine
here.
it.
I'm here.
But what about 4th item Morello? He still has time. He still has time. Don't you worry.
Oh no.
Just get as much magic penetration in every regard that you can possibly find in the game against a team that's stacking a fair bit of magic resist. That's his theory. Nuguri is just gigantic right now. He has himself an Oblivion Orb for some reason as well, just to add to some of that flat magic pen that he did not need, especially not against Adaptive Helm that Roach has already picked up. Quite strong against Mordekaiser with his stacking passive magic damage.
Yeah.
And Nuguri now also with the quite luxury purchase of the Nash's Tooth. Just going to be doing a hell of a lot of damage.
Realistically, Nuguri should actually sell the Oblivion Orb and pick up Void.
Yep,
But I think that he wants to just complete Spellbinder or Death Cap rather than do something like that. And
if he can complete Death Cap... Sorry, you go.
Well, these spots are always the most interesting because it really does become math equations combined with applicability.
And also when you want to fight as well, because if he needs to have a power spike now,
yes,
then and he can't complete something like the Rabbiden's Death Cap, then maybe he does have to think about selling something to
either
get as
right.
powerful as possible.
I mean, or even buying Morello, the Forbidden Book.
Well, to be perfectly honest, there is a way that is going to be the best option as far as getting as much bang for your buck is concerned, given a specific moment.
I believe when I was coach streaming LCS, I could just tell when someone recalled, based on their last recall, that not enough CS had been acquired, game timer, etc. They purchased Morello for a fight that needed to take place, and that was going to be the best bang for their buck they could get at the time, even if the item itself wouldn't be super ideal. So, Rumble, he has picked up the Zanya's Hourglass, but this means that Faker is 6-7 minutes away, depending on how much gold T1 is willing to actually allocate towards him, to another core item. Potentially even longer, again, depending on how they want to allocate gold. But if you're T1, you do want to put everything into Teddy right now, because MF is going to be the one that can actually still try to single-handedly carry this game. And T1's starting the Baron, and this looks like in solo queue when the AD carry is really mad.
Yeah, and they did that with a control ward in the back of the pit that they didn't clear from DAMWON. So they were never going to stay on that particular Baron. As ShowMaker's picked up a pretty cool hat. There's the Forbidden Book that Nuguri has put together, but as you indicated before, if you're going to fight around Baron number 2, you need as much gold spent as you possibly can, and Nuguri couldn't quite afford the cool hat.
Well, so he didn't have a blasting wand in his inventory, which means that he just spent 1,400 gold.
Yeah.
So, had he sold one of the 2 items, can probably, with excess gold, avoid Void Staff. So
well,
I'm not impressed.
That's probably true.
Not impressed, Dallas.
Damn, I was trying to make excuses.
I know that you're the glass half full guy.
I am the glass half full.
You know, my glass is, well, it's not here.
Yeah, you left your glass at home, and it's very dry. It's actually quite dry here in Korea because it's so cold.
It is actually, yeah.
Snowed for the first time yesterday. It was very, very cool.
Oh, it hailed up in Incheon.
Oh, really? Oh, it was snowing where I am. Very, very happy.
I miss snow.
Has his sniper rifle, finds Teddy with it, shoots some chakrams there as well as Canyon goes golden. Effort now looking for the stun. That's a great boot back as the bullet time flies on top of a glowing Hoit. He did go golden for the right time, but isn't able to escape as Roach punches him in the face. Canyon now can't get back into this fight, but Nuguri, he certainly can. He's got a giant health bar, and now he's looking for more, but he gets thrown in to the rest of his team, and oh no, Canyon executed by his own player. As now Cuzz, he can go golden a couple of times, I believe, but no, isn't able to. Nah, and it was already broken, was the extra stopwatch. It's a 2-4-4, and it's only Teddy that's able to try and stop this inevitable Baron, but it looks like DAMWON are looking for the finish.
Teddy has to be really careful right now. And honestly, I mean, Latios, just walking at him, it has to be really scary.
Are you referencing the Pokemon Latios while you're talking about it?
Oh, no, it's a Latios.
All right. Well, that's a Realm Warp, and that's a Death Chamber potentially for Teddy, but he does QSS immediately, and Nuguri didn't have that one available, but they get underneath these turrets and should be able to take them down. Effort is respawned as Death's Grasp might have been the death of Nuguri unless he didn't have his flash available, was able to use it. Nuclear misses his ultimate there. Severum trying to get himself some health back, walks out of the bullet time. But we see how this story goes, and it's Teddy just destroying the opposing AD carry. Now looking for Nuguri, gets himself his shield back. Death's Grasp sidestepped nicely, the door put down, and then able to just grab the Mordekaiser out of the air. I don't know whether that ult is going to be enough, but Teddy doesn't get the double up, but will be able to get the final kill in his triple to save T1, at least in this instance.
I mean, they're going to get the Baron for sure. And are they going to send one person or 2? Yes. They identify that this is the only line Canyon can actually take, is to try to get that Cloud Dragon.
This is an absolute disaster for DAMWON.
Yeah,
they had so many opportunities. They decided to go for an end when it wasn't possible, especially with Teddy there to defend.
They took a gamble they didn't need to take. They can easily get the Baron, get the Cloud Dragon as well to boot.
That was a throw, man.
Yeah, and I mean, also, this is also part of it. Why are you standing this close to MF? Why don't you just get the turrets? It's not something I would expect out of these level players. It's just really greeting Game 1 to kick off 2020. Why are you playing for KDA?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting a coin flip moment like this. I was expecting this game was going to go to the letter of what these compositions are able to do. And I thought because DAMWON had managed to get themselves into a winning location as 5th and 6th items are coming in, they should be able to lock this one down. But now they're staring down the barrel of T1, having an opportunity to get themselves the Dragon Soul. And T1, now with a Baron buff, augmenting this composition. They are just going to run up the mid lane. Remember, there is an inhibitor down in mid, so a possibility that DAMWON can utilize that to stop maybe their mid inhibitor turret from going down. But look at this. It's the Teddy show once again on T1's side.
It really is. And what this is going to come down to now is, can they just protect Teddy and can he actually still deal the damage? Don't get me wrong, DAMWON is still favored in the team fight quite considerably. So Teddy, he's going to need to pull out a miracle. In terms of everything else, Faker did get to another item. He got to the Void Staff. Roach picked up
an equalizer doing nothing there in the backline. It was trying to at least secure this inhibitor turret as Roach doesn't land the face crack. They are able to take down that inhibitor turret. Super creeps have been dealt with. Now DAMWON look for the Death Grasp. They get it onto Teddy.
And he doesn't have flash.
Death Realm just yet. He does have the Mercurial Scimitar, so not going to be a Death Realm target.
Now, it would be wise to just wait the 1 minute, let the Baron dissipate, give up the middle inhibitor. Doesn't matter if you lose it. Game is not decided over losing middle inhibitor.
Well, that's a decent cast there onto Nuguri. He's chasing.
They got Teddy!
Teddy is thrown back into the team and destroyed by the Aphelios. It might be his time as the ult comes down. Massive damage onto Effort and to Cuzz, but it looks like the disengage was successful. Realm Warp, though, says no as ShowMaker dives on top of Faker. He has another equalizer, but it's not quite doing enough as Canyon might burn down to the flames bit of it, but no, it's going to be ShowMaker that locks down the Rumble, and now Roach not very far to go. He'll get stunned up, he'll get destroyed. Haymaker not going to do anything as now Effort trying to hold on to minion waves to deny the end of the game.
They have minions, though, so it doesn't even matter. Even without the minions, they would be able to end this with Braum tanking because that turret is on its last leg. No one's coming up.
Yeah, backdoor bonus not going to be enough here, especially not with Aphelios. As Cuzz, he knows it. He's going to throw his life away, and DAMWON are going to take game 1 in this best of 3 series to debut LCK 2020. It was back and forth. I thought DAMWON may have thrown it in that last heated engage around the Baron, but wasn't to be had because the counter throw was there from T1.
The counter throw was there as well, but T1, they were constantly fighting an uphill battle due to we're the Sith right now. All right, now we're the Jedi.
We're back on the side of the light.
Back on the light.
Yeah.
Balance is all things should be. You know, so in terms of what went on this game, T1, they have a really strong 2-item spike on their champions. And they even accelerated, actually, with the early game, getting the plates, getting some of the kills and whatnot. And then they managed to salvage it at the Cloud Drake. But then, eventually, the DAMWON team composition just sort of comes online. There's no answer to Aphelios, Mordekaiser, etc. And then champions just get stifled on T1. So
yeah, and Teddy didn't have flash there, so he wasn't able to scimitar and then flash to get out of the displacement of the kick. So Canyon, beautiful insect to start it off. But honestly, if you're positioned like that, you know what Canyon's capable of in that moment. And just was slight over-aggression, overstep there for a T1 that were desperately trying to utilize their Baron buff. But it just wasn't able to happen. Let's watch as Canyon puts it to work. I mean, we talk about them needing to know that, but damn, sneaking that Q through the minions was just glorious from Canyon.
Managed to get in there, do what he did to MF, and like you said, Teddy didn't have flash available. They shouldn't have been posturing like that. Wasn't the end of the world, even if they don't get the inhibitor. Either way, actually, DAMWON can either concede it, or even if SKT get it, again, it's not the end of the world, so why are you positioning like that?
Yeah.
Game number 1, the draft plague that I was worried about coming into this series for T1 seems to continue.
It seems to be very real. Having a look at the goal difference here, it was basically what we were expecting out of both of these teams. You can see T1 with a slight advantage as we headed towards the mid-game, but then it was all about DAMWON. They had some hiccups, but otherwise things did work out based on what these compositions should have been capable of. I think it was beautiful watching Nuguri playing the Mordekaiser. He really did hold on to this game, much like we were expecting Nuguri to be able to, certainly showing that he is part of our dynamic trio of top lane talent. Used to be 4 players, but Khan has left us for the LPL.
The LCK Hydra is what we'll call it now. There you go.
There we are. We're here now. Thank you so much, G-Sun, for the translation. And also, all of that cool new AR for the Analyst Desk segments. Really, really cool to see. And what would also be cool to see is some leveler heads going into Game 2. There was a little bit of ping-pong as far as the throws were concerned towards the end of Game 1, and we'll see whether T1 and DAMWON can shore things up moving into Game 2. DAMWON, of course, looking for that 2-0, and T1 wanting to fight back from the brink.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see what T1 has in store in this game number 2, as they're going to have to do something and approach it with a little bit of a different mindset going into this one.
There was a lot left up in
also,
Game 1 as well.
There was a lot of things that weren't being done very clean in game number 1.
Yeah.
In terms of just mechanical execution and other things of that nature. Also, DAMWON, they want to make sure that they don't try to get ahead of themselves and get too cocky like they did in game 1. Trying to go for that very quick end.
It looks like the similar bans coming in here, as the Rek'Sai was, of course, banned in game number 1 also. And the Taliyah is going to be that follow-up. And in fact, DAMWON is sticking to their guns entirely, despite being on the blue side now. Last time around, the Syndra was the first ban on T1's side. And they're now going to leave that one available. Forced into the Akali ban, of course, when you're up against ShowMaker. He's just very, very good at that champion. And they will lock that one away first pick in an instant. As the Mordekaiser ban coming in, DAMWON actually respecting the pick that Nuguri was able to flatten T1 with the first time around. This might mean that DAMWON are looking for their own set first pick and deny the Mordekaiser pick in response. And now would be the time, Nuguri.
Not personally a fan of set on B1, because like we saw in the previous game, certain team compositions that are just hard to stick to can end up being problematic. So now the ball is in T1's court. I said this last game.
Oh, it's happening.
I talked about it.
Well,
Soraka,
we're hovering it.
She can tame him.
It would be an awful time for a set who is very melee. But it's not looking to be what they're going to lock away, at least the first round. As T1 consider the Gragas for Cuzz once again, and that is going to be locked away. What he's actually going to pick up here remains unseen.
R1 Gragas, R2 Affilio Senna is really strong. Personally, I'm a much bigger fan of Senna than I am of Affilios. I just think that she's a lot more versatile. DAMWON now responding. Zyra Khan, all of their champions have to go into T1 thus far in the draft, and so champions that disrupt, hard engage in short-range, close-quarter combat like Cassiopeia, Vigar, Ryze, champions of this nature, they ruin this team composition. Right now, though, Leona, she's going to get picked up in isolation. She's going to be really good against the Rakan.
Yep, just a classic Rakan counterpick there coming in here from T1. As the response, the Jarvan going to be taken off the board. Canyon not going to be able to jump onto that champ, but there is the opportunity to grab the Lee Sin one more time, and Canyon certainly did have his eye in on that one. See what the follow-up ban is here on DAMWON's side, as they might look to deny picks like the Ryze and the Cassio from Faker, who is of course very proficient on both of those pickups. But no, it's going to be a focus towards the top side, as Renekton going to be taken away. And there's the Syndra. Pretty standard stuff here. T1 taking away a comfortable blind pick mid lane.
Well, Renekton.
What's the follow-up ban here for DAMWON? trying to protect the set pick.
I wonder if Soraka ends up actually getting hit, but instead it's going to be Aatrox. These aren't champions that I think of when I think of set problems. Aatrox does have the potential to kill him, but it's on set to really mess up.
Yep.
With
Whoa,
the W.
Okay, that's enough. That's the counter pick option that Roach was looking for up into the set. I can understand it based on range advantage, I guess.
It's going to be a really thin balancing act against sets Q and E combo.
I actually feel also like it might be... It's both an answer and a problem because you get so much bonus health from transforming that if you're then, like, altered into the team, you're going to murder your teammates.
It gets very strange. And it looks like we might have a mid-Ord on our hands.
Yeah, this is something that we've seen a lot of.
Or it could be mid-set.
Yeah, and we are staying color coordinated on DAMWON's
We
side.
are really, they are
good.
very red, white, and pink.
They are. It was anime themed for the first 3 picks, and then Ornn came in, and now we've got Lee Sin, but certainly the color coordination is strong for DAMWON as the Lee is locked.
Now, if you're T1, you need a champion that ruins close quarter combat. Cassiopeia is really good here, as is Vigar. Bryce is also okay too. LeBlanc is not the, no. I'm gonna pass it back to you there, Atlas.
Well, LeBlanc was picked up. It's certainly a Faker special, and wanting to put him on comfort is something that I could certainly understand, but it doesn't necessarily, like you say, fit into the desired team composition as effectively as you would otherwise want. But as we have a look at these compositions holistically, where do you think both of these teams are going to be fighting? Because I'm looking on T1 side and feeling like it's similar to last game, but I guess they do have a few more late game options with, you know, Gnar flanks into Teddy popping off, potentially.
It's very bizarre to me that DAMWON showed on B1 through 3 that they're coming into you. They're going to be hard engaging. They're going to be short range, close quarter combat. And then you R4 Gnar into set, which is going to be a balancing act in itself.
Yeah.
But then set descales your Gnar just due to the nature of the matchup, but how it's going to fit into the team compositions. And then the enemy team goes Ornn and Lee Sin, so 2 champions that aren't necessarily on theme with one another, and then T1 R5's LeBlanc. So 2 champions back-to-back that don't make any sense versus what DAMWON showed. We talked about this in the POG state.
Yeah.
That the themes aren't really lining up. So either T1 is going to win on individual prowess and just snowballing, or yet again, 2 items forward, team composition is going to fall apart.
Well, we'll see what they can do. DAMWON now have a 1-game lead as we head into Game 2. LCK Spring 2020 debut. And it's now Nuguri on the set. This guy has a 100% win rate so far in solo queue on this pickup. We saw what Set could do in the last game in the hands of Roach. It wasn't necessarily fantastic, but now we'll see whether Nuguri can teach us a thing or two. Roach did have the technology there in his mind. He was hovering the Soraka, but decided not to pull the trigger. As at least Nuclear and Hoit are on champions that they're very comfortable on in the Xayah Rakan on the bottom side, but I feel like that particular Lovers duo has had its day in favor of other more powerful picks. Is now Canyon going to get Leonid for a moment, but doesn't have Shield of Daybreak, of course. Nuguri grabs his first Haymaker, lands the sweet spot.
Well, so far in this game, though, we're not going to have anything super exciting going on.
Are they booster rockets on Set's back?
Doesn't he look like the thing from Pacific Rim?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, Aatrox already has one of those skins.
Nuguri has done his research, however, on set runes.
Oh, yeah.
Has the inspiration for the magical boots, as well as the cosmic insight. Personally, a big fan right now.
See what the item build's going to be, whether Nuguri is also going to sin with the Black Cleaver pickup.
And everything else looking pretty much standard across the board. So we're going to be in for a game. Now, Set Trinity Force is actually an insane upgrade from the Ornament. You get the attack speed, you get the AD, you get the HP. Doesn't really utilize the mana stat, but also gets the movement speed upgrade, which is quite nice. Goes from, I believe, 5% to 8%.
I just think that, you know, it's very, very strong considering the 20% CDR that it does have as well. I mean, Garen's building it. You don't really care about the mana so much as Nuguri's just going to come over and steal some little Krugs from Cuzz. He's then going to go back to base and clear his bottom side jungle. And Effort is just wasting no time. He's pressing as many buttons as he possibly can as soon as they're available. He's landing his Zenith Blades so far on the bottom side, though. Nuclear has quite a large minion wave to deal with, and this is why T1 are able to play so aggressively. Infernum there for Teddy, allowing him to clear up these. Or is that Sever? I should just stop.
It's Aladios.
Yeah.
So, yeah. You gotta understand that.
It's just so many different things. I need to play more games on him, but he's complicated, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm an old man.
That's fine. You know what? You're just right to me, Atlas.
Thanks, man.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
So far, Nuguri is feeling really, really safe in this lane.
Yeah, you can see Roach is actually looking like he's a bit rattled, as Nuguri does take a turret shot, but he's able to land the Haymaker pretty well onto the Gnar.
Up 7 CS right now. And also the stuttering that Nuguri was just doing, I wonder if he's trying to pull the lanes in right now. Never mind, it does look like he's actually hitting minions. And so normally on set what you can do is you can pull waves and then you can play the balancing act with this QE to try to get the snare, well, the stun. Roach is not playing the balancing act that well, though.
He's getting hit a lot by these Haymakers that Nuguri is throwing. And if I know anything about boxing, getting hit by multiple Haymakers is bad, as that's a face smash right onto him. But the follow-up damage is going to be there. The bounce, we're looking for the 1v1 as Roach very close to Mega Gnar, and in comes Cuzz. Nuguri nowhere to go. The Haymaker does land. He gets himself a brief shield, but that's still going to be bolted to the face, and first blood to T1.
And Nuguri just trading a little bit too hard right there, as Roach was able to retreat to the south side. At that point, Nuguri probably knew that he would be pinned by the incoming Gragas. Teleport coming in, Lee Sin.
That's real aggressive. Nuguri will find a face smash though. Yeah, onto Roach. A lot of damage. Haymaker has to be flashed from Roach, who was respecting the damage. That's a flash that Roach didn't need to make, as Canyon looks for the Q, lands it, and grabs the follow-up kill. Can just walk out from under the turret as well. Calculated from the DAMWON jungler.
And the other thing about this is Set, he got an assist, and look at the confidence on Nuguri.
It's Nuguri. Of course he has a cull.
Plus Doran's Blade is the pickup. Now, I actually really love Roach's item purchase here. He got Ninja Tabby as the first item. And you see right now Gragas, he's shadowing because he's respecting Canyon's ability to repeat gank immediately, knowing that Roach's lane state is in a really bad spot. And had Canyon just immediately come back up, and if Cuzz isn't there, well, you just lose top lane forever.
We can see they've got pings towards the Raptor camp. They have a feeling that they know where Cuzz is. Teddy and Effort are shoving things forward here on the bottom side, winning out as far as the CS by just a little bit, but there's a whole minion wave to be picked up. Actually 4 minions, but still. That should even things out relatively effectively as Nuguri. Great combo here onto Roach. That probably would have killed, or at least been very, very close. And then in comes Canyon. All too easy.
Yeah, and he just picks up the kill, and you can see Gragas not even really a chance to respond right there.
I find it really interesting that Roach wasn't a little bit more heads up on that particular play, though, because with the aggressiveness of the teleport from Nuguri, they knew that Canyon was in the area. But Roach just unable to get out of the way of the Q before that one landed. But yeah, it's a little bit hindsight is 2020, that particular moment. And it was just good play there from Canyon, largely. Faker gets himself back mid. You can see he's ahead by a few CS, but range advantage will do that. And a little bit of a roam coming through from Hoit. Get around the map, get some vision down where you can. Roach is still struggling, though. I mean, we were expecting this from a more facilitatory top laner, and Nuguri just being the guy that wants to carry every single game. But it's 2 games in a row where it's quite large CS advantages for Nuguri that he's been able to make without too many issues.
So far right now, I mean, DAMWON, they're only up 300 gold, but it doesn't matter. All of their champions are better the longer that the game ends up going on, and Turtle Dragon is going to be the first one of the game. Lee Sin should be the one that has complete control over picking that up. In fact, it looks like DAMWON is actually just going to start it. And remember, ornaments, they're going to come in later on. So what we're hoping is Trinity Force on set, Black Cleaver on Lee Sin, Abyssal Mask, Sunfire Kate for Ornn, and then obviously Infinity Edge for Xayah, and then Redemption probably for Rakan.
That's the next ornament. Is that Q? He's going to miss Faker, but Faker also not going to quite find the buttons that he's looking for. ShowMaker makes his way around, and that's just to defend his jungler. Teddy's still controlling this lane, but no junglers have really been down here to try and protect the Lovers duo that are around. The Haymaker's starting to get some points into it, Roach. You really need to start avoiding getting hit by the sweet spot of that one. Just feels like the range advantage that we were talking about isn't quite there when Haymaker's so large and you can use it off cooldown. No cooldown reduction being put together here by Nuguri so far. He does have, of course, that extra potential 5%. From the inspiration tree. As, that's a solar flare. Nuclear immediately uses the cleanse, but you'd still say worth ultimate for summoner spell.
Yeah. Definitely going to be a worthwhile pickup there for T1 as Gragas just trying to look for anything to do. And at this point, everyone's just kind of content on playing ping pong with the waves. And remember, Nuguri with that call, eventually just going to turn that in, but rewarded. That's going to be another kill that essentially is added to the scoreboard. Roach is thinking that he could get 3-manned right now, I believe.
Yeah, he's acting very, very scared. And that's only going to balloon this CS advantage that Nuguri has even further. Close to that 20 mark, as Roach doesn't even get that many minions as the wave crashes towards the turret. He's going to go back home. No teleport available for the Gnar. And he completes his Phage, and Nuguri, you can see, he's a man after his own heart.
This is a man of culture.
Yep. This is the literally set that we were looking for. As that Stinger is on the way, Nuguri looking for it. As Rift Herald is going to be taken by DAMWON without contest. And we'll see where Shelly is going to park herself first. This stage of the game. Looks like T1 pretty happy just to let that one go, though, alongside the Drake. Feels like DAMWON have had a lot of control of this map so far.
Ornn a little angry.
Yeah, a little bit of a kick there.
ShowMaker doesn't actually want to CS that until Lee Sin leaves, but it looks like they actually ate it together. I think they're going to summon Rift Herald, but they don't want to do it if Faker's actually still around, so now this is going to be a question of how are they going to end up doing this.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Canyon giving up on that particular Rift Herald summon, especially with a Rift Scuttle available down here. Hoit in the area as effort turns up. It doesn't land the Zenith Blade. Cuzz gets into position and will spot out all of that vision that DAMWON had put down. 2 minutes on the Ocean Drake, which is going to be the second, as another Haymaker decorates Roach with a bit more damage.
Nuguri
he's just real good.
Playing right in front of him. There's the QE combo.
Yeah.
Managed to get a couple of autos, but his W is on cooldown, and so because of that, Roach able to take advantage of that, get a little bit of poke damage off.
Turret plates being eradicated here in the mid lane as Shelly gets a few casual autos on this as well, as Teddy comes down, spins around a lot, gets a lot of that DPS onto the turret. It's now Hoit. Takes a bit of damage there also, but he's otherwise going to be okay. A lot of those chakrams being built up from Teddy, which is why he was able to do a lot of the work there. Let's see whether Nuguri is going to be kept honest, as Zenith Blade just out of range there of Hoit. And the battle for vision is down. Looks like T1 knows where their money is made, and it's in the hands of Teddy, as Hoit not going to get slowed, but will get given possibly another turret plate. No, not quite going to be able to. Graviton now set up. Roach doesn't get the wallop and therefore gets punished as Nuguri lands another haymaker. Canyon in a good position to defend this bottom lane. Feels like our junglers have been mirroring one another quite effectively so far this game. But it's Canyon that's been able to get himself to a quite gigantic lead when it comes to the camps. And potentially mid lane minions as well. As Nuguri takes his second turret plate and is just standing underneath the turret trying to hit Roach.
I
think he's just dead, yeah. He's going to flash, but it's just not going to do anything. That is an unforced error, one could say.
Being really way too greedy right there. Also, he has his magical boots, but he couldn't get them because the items were locking it up. Yep. Now he gets the stinger.
And if he hadn't have died there, he could have gone back and just got a Trinity Force. But instead, he has to buy all 3 of the components, which is not what you want.
Yep. Ended up having to sell his Doron shield for it as well. T1. They're going to pick up the Ocean Dragon. It is a windy day on Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, a lot of the Cloud Drake Ocean Soul. Sorry, Dragon Souls.
As
we'll see whether we get 4 of them like we did in the last game as well. But I think Nuguri is going to still be all right. He teleported back to the lane, means that Roach does have that teleport advantage as the 15-minute mark rolls around. Some potential early fight teleports here available for Roach if he gets that Narbar to a good position. It's what we're going to be looking out for here. T1 has certainly been a team that's notable around playing around Gnar. Some of the better Gnar players have been members of this squad. Marin comes to mind, of course. And teleport plays, certainly what their top laners are capable of. Is
you can just see what he was trying to do. If he can actually get onto Gnar there, he can probably end up solo killing him.
죽었다. 개오바. 미안하다.
I died.
Yeah, he did. That is true. At least he's aware of that part of it.
And then he... I don't know exactly what that translates to, Keoba. It's mostly like, you gotta be kidding me. Or like, that didn't really just happen, sort of a thing. And then he said, I'm really sorry.
Well, I think he might be able to make up for it. Still 20 CS in the lead, as there are a lot of pings on where Nuguri has gone off to, but Roach is going to find him in his lane as the dust settles. Trinity Force now completed, so a big power spike here for Nuguri. But waiting for that W to come back off cooldown, and then try to get that combo onto Roach. Showstopper available, haven't seen it so far this game.
Oh man,
Oh no, Hoit might be in trouble. There's the solar flare, actually denies the battle dance as Teddy throws down the ult and will grab it with the last auto. I believe that was just the raining auto attacks from the ultimate, the Moonlight's Vigil coming down on top of the Rakan. So that's Teddy on the board with his first kill. This is dangerous. It's feeling scarier and scarier here for DAMWON, despite that gold lead being absolutely nothing for either side. Teddy gets himself ahead, and if Roach is going to be in less than a horrible position, he's going to be all right. As Faker looks for the solo onto DAMWON. The Ignite's ticking down, but the safeguard is going to be there. Faker jumps on back. He wanted to get the kill, but he's denied by Canyon, just throwing a Q into his face, and Faker overstepping towards the end. He looked desperate to get himself on the board.
Well, it's going to be yet another tempo swing going in DAMWON's favor. Ornn has hit level 12, and also ShowMaker showing that he too is a bit of a savant with the correct Ornn itemization. Honestly, I've been losing my mind watching LEC and LCS. The amount of players that build Frozen Fist.
Yeah, the wrong ornaments.
Those are definitely the wrong ornaments.
Yeah, don't build the wrong ornaments.
That's when, you know, like when you're. Well, hold on. First, we're gonna take a look at the replay. I'll get back.
This is Hoit dying.
This is Hoit dying. So he gets locked up by Leona, actually pinned to the wall. Probably wasn't a big fan of that. And then Aphelios able to just bring him down and not to be outdone though. DAMWON, they put themselves back on the board. That was a nice fadeaway kick by ShowMaker. Faker tried to outplay it, but Canyon was still there with the Q.
Yeah, the vision availability there for DAMWON as well, trolling Faker just a little bit. Had everything in place in order to be able to outmaneuver Faker's impressive LeBlanc. It did look like he was biting off a little bit more than he could chew, but these are plays that Faker has been able to make in the past. The face smash not necessarily working out as Canyon is going to jump on forward. That's going to be the showstopper in combination, but not against the wall and Wallop there as well, but Canyon is still going to be able to grab it. Lands the Q resonating strike enough to complete that one. And Roach just a slight overstep.
The other thing about this is even though the gold right now is only 400, 500 in favor of DAMWON, their champions are so much better. And these Ornn items, they're going to start adding unseen thousands of gold to DAMWON.
What is it, about 1,000 gold per ornament?
Well,
is the approximate stat weight?
A little bit different. Abyssal Mask and Sunfire Cape are, I think, in the 1,1700 range.
Oh my goodness, that's a lot.
Deathfire, or Rabadon's Death Crown is also in that range. But there's not going to be anyone building that item this game, as the next Rift Herald is spawned. And T1, they look like they want to take a Cloud Dragon fight. They're at a severe disadvantage if a team fight would first break out, but it looks like they're just going to be able to steal it and get away.
Yep, it is going to be Shirley that's able to take down the outer turret in the meantime, though, so a trade of outer and mid for that Cloud Drake is going to be what it is. Effort's going to get into position as Cuzz gets himself over with the body slam and not able to get the charge as Cuzz kills it mid-air. But now Faker looking to try and escape from this one. His clone was destroyed so quickly and Set's going to punch him to death in the end. Unable to get away from the Ram or any of the DAMWON players. Faker is getting targeted this game.
Well, like they're gonna try to go on nuclear, but not able to. Effort's gonna trade his ultimate for his cleanse. And unfortunately, Nuguri, he started off so well with his itemization, he ends up picking up the Tiamat.
Yeah, you're not a fan?
I'm not a fan. Not a fan. Like the Sterix into the Death Stance, does so much for you. Well, gives you multiple uses of the Haymaker often inside of a team fight.
Have a look at this replay.
Yeah.
Nuguri just going to face smash Faker, and he gets showstopped, and that is going to be the end of it. Showstopped, is that okay as a verb?
Yeah, that's
we all right with it?
I like that, yeah.
I do like to verbify ability names, but I don't know whether that one's necessarily a goodie. As ShowMaker's going to put himself together some more items. See whether Sunfire Cape is about to be completed, and there it is. Upgraded immediately. Ornamented. As now Hoit's hunting for Roach.
Who do you think he's going to bestow first with an ornament? Lee Sin because of close proximity, or...?
I'm looking at Nuclear, who's now got a BF sword after he was considering going towards a Zeal item first. And I have a feeling that that might mean that he's trying to book it towards Infinity Edge or Molten Edge.
He's going to give it actually over to Lee Sin.
He can get like Quadra Force as well. The epic Trinity Force that Nuguri could have for himself.
Yeah.
Faker just going to dash back to his Distort location. We'll see whether he calms down some of these plays. He's not suffering from any sort of CS disadvantage like he did in game number 1, but of course ShowMaker not on a champion necessarily known for being able to dominate in the CS lead department. It was Canyon that got the next ornament, as the Black Cleaver has been upgraded also.
Well, the itemization right now, I mean, you just look at Gnar. Look at how much bonus HP he has.
Yeah, there's a lot of bonus HP. It's scary, isn't it?
He has 1100 bonus, which means if Set ever gets a hold of him inside of a team fight and drags him into T1's team, it's bad news bears.
Yeah, I think Showstopper, like, it's getting to the point where it takes 75% of Teddy's health.
That really would be a Pacific Rim style Hollywood like screenshot, you know, or you know what I'm talking about? Like
that's like the full Kaiju body slam.
Yeah,
situation.
exactly. That.
Maybe that's what we should call it this game. It's the Kaiju body slam. He needs to be up against Cho'Gath though. Oh no.
Yeah, that would actually.
Mega Gnar is relatively close to like monster style, but yeah,
it's not quite Godzilla status.
We need to have Set and Aatrox on the same team so that they can actually be the Pacific
Kaiju
Rim.
Yeah, I like that.
That's pretty cool. Could you make a Pacific Rim team? You could have like...
Yeah, well, you have the Mecha Kingdom skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And you'd have Malphite.
You have Malphite.
Malphite could also, he could be support, I guess.
He could be support. And then what else do we have?
Big mechs. We need big mechs. I guess,
You know what? Malphite can go jungle, Leona can go support.
yeah, you could have Skarner in there for some reason. It's like the oven Skarner.
I'm
No, the lawnmower, sorry. Oven Cogmore could be there.
That's
He's
like
a bit mecha.
the utility warrior in all the anime shows. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
the one
yeah.
that's not quite as big, but
Yep.
has something special going on. Okay, so Trinity Force actually was upgraded next.
Don't mind it. Hoit once again going to be denied. That was an interesting interaction, but Effort finds himself a little bit further forward than he wanted to be. Faker doesn't find the chains.
Here's
Damwon are going to get away scot-free.
here's the thing I talked about, if you remember, inside the Pog state.
Yeah.
T1 has so much responsibility on them right now.
Face Smasher comes in. Nuguri hunting for Roach. It's not going to be the Ram to come back, but Canyon's just going to destroy the Gnar. And you were saying?
Well, what do you want T1 to do?
I want them to have a top laner that's alive.
But realistically, in a team fight, what do you want LeBlanc to do? She can't actually pick anyone off. She can't jump on Set, she'll get E'd. She can't jump on Orange, she does no damage. She can't jump on Rakan, he can chain it. She can't jump on Xayah. Can't really jump on Lee Sin either because there's no follow-up. What do you want Gnar to do? He can't really jump in.
Can't do anything right
now. You require these miracle, inhuman asks out of T1 in order to win a team fight, or you require DAMWON to go full comatose on stage and completely blunder a team fight. The game is so far out of control right now for T1, they're going to need DAMWON to throw equal to almost that Nexus throw in game number 1.
And that is a tough ask for a team that was already able to best T1 in the first game. I think what you were talking about is more dangerous, is more aimed at Teddy, because this game is just going to require the most insane Aphelios play that we've ever seen in order for T1 to really get across the line, because he is going to be the damage that's needed. As Roach, he put down the control ward as he was hopping over, and that's going to be bad news. Nuguri knew that the rest of his team were coming down, but probably would have just won the 1v1 anyway, because there was a hop on cooldown for Roach and no Narbar inside. Just another mistake coming through from the new T1 top laner.
I mean, we're going to hop back to live, and now Ornn is also able to now give the Infinity Edge over whenever he'll get around to it. I'm hoping that Redemption is the next item out of Hoit, just so he can get the little upgrade as well for himself.
Yep, maximize that one. Of course, we've still got a couple of levels to come through there.
This is even more reason that we needed Santa Claus Ornn, by the way, for the ornaments.
Yep. I like it a lot. Titanic Hydra was completed here for Nuguri, and now he's building towards Hysterics. Don't mind that, given the fact that there's a lot of health that is stacked up here by the set.
30 AD, just given over to Nuclear. Things just...
He's real scary.
Yeah.
And now the engage that's so comfortable here for DAMWON is going to come down. Focused onto Effort for the moment, but he flashes to get out of the way. But DAMWON can rinse and repeat this so quickly. Yeah. And Faker, you could see, being denied entry by a lot of this DAMWON peel that is available to them. That's a cast just to break up the squad, and Faker once again trying to dive forward. But speaking of diving in, Nuguri does get in there. A massive Haymaker shield comes down, but it's not enough to keep him alive, as now Effort still surviving on the backline, as well as Faker managed to get to Nuclear and gets him with the last tick of the Ignite. We say it, but then T1 are able to turn it around, as now Canyon off in the backline, able to distract a few members of T1, as now ShowMaker and Hoit trying to take down Faker, but the chains are going to land onto Hoit, and Teddy now sinks his fangs in, and Faker's going to grab that kill, and now they'll move over to the Baron.
You know, and we talked about it. We said that DAMWON would have to blunder. Nuguri went Superman right into T1, who had just poked down some of the members on DAMWON. He went in solo, couldn't really do anything. There was no follow-up in that corridor that was going to be possible by DAMWON. Ornn's ultimate was on cooldown. They had just gotten Leona's flash. If they back off, reset, repeat, once Ornn has his ult up again, everything's going to be good. Watch this really quick. A lot of poke goes down onto DAMWON, and then for some reason, Nuguri, when his teammates just input clicks away from T1, decides to man mode in on a Miminar, get eviscerated. Nuclear trying to run for the hills. Faker managed to get on top of him, and this is the exact kind of blunder that T1 needs to have happen over and over, and they need to capitalize on it just like they did.
Oh, Faker, that was beautiful. Distorting to get out of the way of the body slam coming through from ShowMaker. Really, really nice stuff there. Faker showing that he has got his eye in at this stage of the day. You can see demonstrating that on the damage bar as well. This is what we needed. A little bit of a redemption moment for the king of the mid lane here in the LCK. ShowMaker's not on the champion that is going to be able to counteract the flashiness. You know, he doesn't have the answers available in the on. He is that facilitator. We do need to see him try and land these ultimates and even have them available when the team starts to fight. So like you were talking about, a little bit more of a mistake on DAMWON's side than something to be super excited about for T1. But this is able to get Teddy towards his 3-item spike. He's beaten Nuclear to that particular punch this time around. He has a lot of damage availability here. That Runan's Hurricane completed.
Helios is going to be the key component yet again. Faker is up a level over, well, ShowMaker just dinged 16 actually, so up a little bit.
We'll see when that redemption comes in for Hoit, whether that's going to be available as quickly as they would like. Looks like ShowMaker is heading towards a Warmog's Armor, potentially, as his next item. And the Cloud Drake to be locked down here for T1. It dies so fast. In the hands of Teddy.
So definitely some slow rotations right now out of DAMWON. And so this will put T1 one dragon away from the Cloud Soul.
Puts DAMWON in a little bit of a clock, which can be certainly scary.
ShowMaker actually building the Warmogs. Personally, not a very big fan of that, especially because these team fights are not conducted in a manner where siege and poke is happening, but rather just all-on, hard, raw engage. That Ornn isn't really backing off to posture and then get the Warmog's passive going. Knight's Vow, I feel, would be really, really good here, and then ultimately rounding it out with Solari.
Yep,
just
certainly
for
an
his
option.
team.
Also like the upgraded Solari as well. Some solid stats on that one also. But Warmog's Armor is good if you're going to use ShowMaker as a Baron tank. Certainly an option there. That's where DAMWON want to win this game, is forcing fights around that Baron area. Given their composition, that would certainly be able to go in and counter-engage effectively against what T1 has brought to the table. You can see the gold lead is not there. I mean, it's 800 gold, means nothing at 30 minutes. And DAMWON is still going to have to be honest in this next team fight to try and utilize their compositional advantage in order to win that one out. It's not going to be based on smacking them with your wallet or anything like that, especially not with some of the items that are about to come in. Faker staring down the barrel of a pretty cool hat. And only more items being placed on top of everything that Teddy's put together himself.
Well, they're just posturing right now. Sterix now completed for Nuguri. Guardian's Angel up for Roach, but that item does surprise me a little bit.
Sort of a this is our last team fight style item. And I don't mind it if you're going to grab a Baron and try and really break a hole in the game. But I can understand why you're raising your eyebrows just a tad. Because I think Nuguri is the one that needs it. Needs it ASAP, because he's been throwing himself into T1 with quite consistency.
And the other thing about this state of the game right now is Faker is probably very close to Rabadon's death cap. I mean, he's waiting on Fountain. He might have it, I'm assuming, judging by how he's standing still. Either that or he's really debating on a sell, and he does gab it.
Yep. And now T1 find themselves in a decent position moving into the next team fight. That actually might get Faker enough damage to sort of one-cycle Nuclear, especially before he has himself a Mercurial Scimitar or any utility item. Hex Drinker hasn't even been afforded yet, or anything like that. With the cleanse available, I would like Hex Drinker or Mortius for the Xayah. They're not even able to pick that one up.
As long as ShowMaker and Nuguri play this slowly, it's going to be very hard for T1.
My God. Canyon has to flash to get out of that one, and now the counter engage is on. In goes Nuguri, looks for Teddy. Hoit dives on top of him as well, gets him with a quickness, and he's exhausted, but hasn't lost any health as Nuclear takes down Effort in the back line. Gigantic damage as the turnaround is in, as Roach has to flash away. And Teddy, he was just eviscerated. He was at full health for so long, and then DWG decided that he should be dead.
Yeah, and he ends up getting cut off right there. Roach does not want to lose his GA. It's going to be a full-on retreat right now.
Oh, Faker actually might be able to find this. Double chains are going to land as DWG are getting softened up. Faker dives on in once again, but Nuclear at high enough health.
Maybe be Baron for DWG.
Oh, Canyon certainly agrees.
Yeah, that should be Baron. Faker is such low HP right now. Nuguri has TP available. He should be able to cut them off. He also has the Superplex available to remove Cuzz from the equation. I don't know.
He's waiting for a teleport, waiting for the rest of T1 to make their way back in. Faker and Effort are going to be right on top of him. It's still going to be a 50-50 as Cuzz is going to be near this pit. The barrel comes forward, but it's not going to be enough, and Nuguri is going to be a sacrifice that DWG are willing to make to secure the purple buff.
It really just doesn't make any sense. He could have TP'd behind the red buff ward and just looked for Gragas and then Arden.
When has what Nuguri could have done ever deterred him from doing the thing to put himself in the most danger?
Make an excellent point there, Atlas.
Yeah.
Well, T1, they are actually going to get themselves the Cloud Soul unless Canyon is a hero with the steal.
We'll need a lot of extra movement speed here, and we'll help Teddy out. Very, not exactly the most mobile AD carry is the Aphelios, so now we'll be able to press R and move a bit quicker. So a lot of extra movement speed. Will help Faker dart around and try and stick to his opponents on DAMWON's side.
Yeah, LeBlanc definitely going to be able to utilize that Cloud Soul. As looks like Banshee's Veil actually going to be the next item for Faker, as the Fiendish Codex picks up a Blasting Wand as well. As we take a look at this replay, Canyon loses all of his HP, flashes away from the Solar Flare. The Ram comes in a little bit misaligned, almost actually chains the CC onto Teddy, and then watch Nuguri gets the E into the Haymaker, and then the Wombo combo.
That was the E flash right on top of the Aphelios, and that certainly was a face cracker. Very well played in that last team fight. I was just sort of wondering how he disappeared as that team fight was happening on multiple fronts. Now Teddy trying to clear out the wave as Faker's doing his best to play interference. Roach on the top side dealing with the super minions, sorry, the Baroned up minions.
Ooh.
Flanking position here from Faker, keeps himself in the dark.
Oh, I think Nuclear can die.
Yeah, Faker finds him, he is dead, but they do spot him out. That blue trinket does come down. Not able to get locked down by anything in the meantime. Cuzz quite squishy here. Has to pay a lot of respect to the auto attacks that Nuclear can throw down.
Well, it looks like this game is certainly going to go to Elder Dragon, the way that both teams are being so cautious. Now, Ornn looks like he's picking up a stone plate. I don't know why, with this much bonus HP, you wouldn't just get a Solari for your team.
Faker actually able to take down half the health bar of Nuguri. They're still starting up the fight though, as great knock-up onto Teddy. Comes in from the Ornn, but the quickness doing a bunch of work. Teddy just evaporates the Rakan, and now ShowMaker might follow the similar fate. A double kill so far for Teddy, but Nuguri has a gigantic shield that's just not enough.
Ooh.
As T1 have turned around the fight, and now Canyon, the last man standing. I don't know how they did it, but T1 found their team fight.
T1 got yet another team fight, and just like the team fight in front of T1's mid-tier 2 turret, DAMWON really pressing the issue there on the top tier 2.
Yeah.
They end up getting smacked, and again, Nuguri and ShowMaker both can't really find valuable engages. They're trying to play it really too fast, and T1 are just capitalizing on it very well. You see this Ornn ultimate, but Nuguri, look at him in the backline. He's like, what do I do? What do I do? He starts hitting the turret. He gets pinned against the wall. Set did nothing this entire fight, and he's so important.
Oh, Teddy's sidestepping in the backline there as well. In fact, has almost the best guns for the moment as well. I believe the Moonlight Vigil was Gravitum, which was able to align all of the CC onto the opponents. Just shows that some team fights are different to others, depending on which guns that you have, and Teddy seemed to utilize them pretty beautifully in that last one. He's always been known for his team fight positioning, but that was basically as immaculate as you could get.
Stone plate completed for ShowMaker. Wall of Malmortia is going to be off cooldown in just a second. Xayah probably also going to get Guardian Angel. 2 minutes until the Elder Dragon. That's going to decide the game, most likely, as Blade of the Ruin King, I believe, is the final item of choice for Roach. All items complete for Faker.
Blade of the Ruin King also, you know, it's a good item against a champion that stacks mainly health here in Nuguri. So it will make a lot of sense if the Na meets him in a side lane. Already has Randu and Zoman completed, so a bit of extra armor on top of that. As okay, Cuzz really wanted to kill that minion wave. Did so.
Okay.
You know,
I mean, he does
really
have.
want to kill it.
He does have the Cloud Sword.
Yeah.
So his ult is almost back up.
Yeah. Also allows him to walk faster for a bit, which is cool.
Stopwatch.
Faker is real angry at Nuguri. He's been targeting
Moving
him a lot.
so fast. He is Speedy Gonzalez
Yeah,
right
he's
now.
boosting it. And of course, you can abuse Cloud Soul really, really well with how many times you can press your ultimate button. Look, Faker's got it again. He just used it second. So. I want to see the cooldown number of his Mimic. It's just silly. He may even be using it. It's just the ult comes back off cooldown so quickly that you can't even see that he's been using it. Look at it. It ticks down so fast.
Yeah. It's actually pretty... That is really, really
That's
insane.
like 3 times a team fight that you could use.
Yeah.
Assuming everyone doesn't die in the first instance.
Definitely a very slippery LeBlanc.
Yep. There's a few 404 jokes
now,
that you can make for Canyon at the moment, given that last team fight. There's a little bit team not found,
okay,
as Teddy has
Aphelios
found himself a Baron.
Shreds this, but now here's where I'm worried.
Roach needs a
T1
Naba.
Gonna be the ones that are impatient now. Ooh, ShowMaker missed on Roach.
Yeah, and Roach now has the Naba, gets a solo Na onto ShowMaker. Not exactly the target that you'd be looking for, but they should still be able to kill him. No, able to get himself out of the way with the Searing Charge.
And now Warmogs is actually gonna come in handy.
Yeah, he's gonna get all of that health back.
Get all of the health back.
Oh dear.
And so now they're gonna be the ones that they're gonna have the defensive position.
And now the Ram is being called down. Faker dashing himself out of the way. Teddy now is relatively safe. Haymaker comes in. Not able to utilize the shield just yet. DAMWON keep everyone alive. And we're just at a face-off. We're trading buffs, potentially, as DAMWON have already started off the Elder Drake, and T1 are moving straight for this Baron.
Elder is by far the strongest objective in the entire game. It's not even comparable. Before, you used to be able to actually trade Baron for Elder, and you could make a pretty good argument that Baron would be better, as long as you could...
And also, DAMWON can reliably dive with this composition.
Now it gets really, really scary.
Oh man, let's see whether T1 can show us why that trade was made. Teddy really hopes that he'll get Calibrum as his next gun. Not entirely sure which one it is going to be, but no sniping here. Still relatively low range. Does have the Gravitum to at least deter anyone from diving, given the CC available.
So there's only going to be a 3-second difference, it seems. 3 or 4 seconds on this Elder. T1 needs to avoid a fight at all costs.
Well, Faker just trying to poke in around the sides. Wants to find the right targets for it, of course. Now, Nuguri didn't have a few abilities on cooldown, therefore couldn't answer what Faker was diving in to try and do.
And we are having a...
This is a barn burner of a series so far, dude.
You want to talk about the lull state? This is definitely it.
Is it, or is this the Pog state? The face-off. The waiting out of the Elder Drake, which still has a minute and a half available. for DAMWON. 4,000 gold is the lead for T1 though. They've been able to get minion waves back into the right spots for them as well, but now it's T1 pushing into an eldered up team, which is not what you want to be doing. Faker still poking around the edges, and he's had to be desperate in the way that he has played with this LeBlanc, just given, like you say, the narrowness of this composition's availability for her to get work done. But I think, to his credit, he has been able to do so.
Yeah, he's been able to find a lot of openings, and a lot of it is the willingness, but also the awareness to punish the mistakes that DAMWON are making. They're not identifying how to play out the team composition. Even prior to the Elder Dragon, what I thought was going to end up happening, they would retreat back into River, and then they would use the narrow corridors to basically line up perfectly with Ornn's ultimate if T1 came to try to prevent it.
Yeah, use it as disengage rather than engage.
Yeah.
Certainly hasn't been ShowMaker's MO. He does like to go in and make the plays. So maybe that's a play style thing rather than anything else. Baron buff still with 20 seconds to go, but it's only really Roach utilizing it at the moment. It's going to be identical buff timers, and this probably works out for T1, as Nuclear takes a bit of damage there, but is otherwise unfazed by Faker popping in from around the side. All right, we got some trading going on. We've got some jockeying for position, one could say. T1 congregate underneath their inhibitor turret, but this minion wave is going to survive. The tower, not so much. Taken down very, very quickly here by Desire, who has fashioned herself 6 items, one of which has been ornamented.
They need to hold a phalanx. They need to play back to front if you're DAMWON, and if you're T1, you need to posture and hope that Nuguri and ShowMaker get a little too antsy with their engage. And it really does look like DAMWON are about to end.
I think Cuzz really needs to hold on to his ultimate as well and use it for disengage to try and save their Aphelios as Teddy gets out of the way of the ram, sidesteps the second portion as well. And now T1 on the front foot. Roach with a Nahbar well and truly prepped for this potential fight. And DAMWON can see it, they hold themselves together. And it's only Cuzz that loses a bit of his health bar, and otherwise everything else is okay. Faker just wanting to finish his last remaining item.
I'm so glad to have you here, co-streaming NALCS with me, Atlas.
It is my pleasure. They've changed their names a little bit now.
I would like to ask Riot at this time to actually put on the proper nameplates of the teams. Take off the overlay.
I'm wanting like some 90s TV show style reveal to come in now, and there's canned laughter in the background. Oh dear.
Oh man. The real reason there's no audience here today is because we're actually in an A right now.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, and no, it's not Roach. Welcome, Dyrus, to the LCK as here goes the on-horn. DAMWON trying to make something happen. Haymaker does some work there. Cuzz is the one to bear the brunt of it, but now Faker into the backline. Roach gets in there as well. Can he land it? No, he can't. Oh! As that's a huge knock up there from ShowMaker. Gargoyle Stoneplate just not quite doing enough. As you can see, Teddy, gigantic shield, gigantic health bar, and he's now looking to try and chase down DAMWON with not as many spells as they'd otherwise want. Look at all of these chakrams flying into DAMWON, and they've been split up. Cuzz still here, still available, and Nar goes down to his Guardian Angel. Canyon does have his as well, but effort is on the chase, and T1 find themselves a team fight victory, but don't find any kills.
Oh, they don't know about the TP.
Oh no, Teddy now out of position. Heal going to be used just to get the movement speed.
Canyon with the flank.
Yep, ShowMaker, can he get in there? Almost has the Ornhorn once again as Cuzz goes golden flashes, body slams, gets out, the disengage with the barrel, and he's going to survive. Even sidesteps Roach's blast plant, which could have trolled him. But now Faker gets into the backline and eliminates the set. This team fight has gone for so damn long, but it's T1 that draw first blood after what feels like 4 minutes. Teddy gets Ornhorn though. They can't, they don't have the damage available. A big Gnar, the big wall of Roach is alive for way too long. But now, can he actually actually find the team fight in the end. Can it be Nuclear that gets at the answers? No, it's ShowMaker going to die to the hands of Teddy. A couple more auto attacks is going to do it. The Severum is what's up. Doesn't quite get the damage there, but eventually chases it down. We've now got an Elder Drake on the map that DWG have led T1 to on a silver platter. The barrel is missed time, but who cares? Cuz I think they're still going to have enough to make this one work as Pop goes the Rakan and Canyon. The next step in that 1-2 punch. The ace comes in and T1 have brought us to a game 3.
They certainly have. I think that's the longest team fight
Yeah,
I've ever seen in the LCK.
I don't think I'm ready for a game 3, man. Oh god, 6,000 gold is what it turned out to be, but T1 aren't looking at that. They're looking at a dead inhibitor, some dead Nexus turrets, and Nuguri, he might be following the same trend, dives into the back, but there is enough CC. Oh god, Effort takes so much damage, not enough, as Aphelios does do about a bajillion damage.
In
technical
T1,
term.
they were patient, they remained steadfast, and waited 3 consecutive times for DAMWON to just go into them.
Yeah.
Which isn't what their team composition was supposed to do. DWG got impatient every single time. And historically, this was something that T1 was actually really good at for several years, which was remaining patient, going to the end stages of the game, and then just outlasting the opponent. They overcame a team comp imbalance. They overcame Ornn items on every single champion, and they managed to edge out a win that I really just thought was doomed.
Me too. Actually, and also, I want to harken back to that because I think what you're talking about is veteran status, right? And we saw Faker show that with, like, in absolute spades. It was extraordinary because he made some fumbles in the early game and then made a champion that wasn't necessarily the best jigsaw puzzle fit for their comp work throughout a late game that should have been very, very difficult to utilize.
And, you know, the thing about this is these games are kind of beautiful because it makes me think of David versus Goliath in the sense that T1 were the heavy underdogs once this hit mid-game, and yet we saw the exact sequence of events unfold that is required to allow them to make a victory end up occurring, and they also out-muscle DWG here inside of this team fight.
I don't know how we haven't made a ShowMaker versus Showstopper reference, by the way. I actually feel terrible. I'm really sorry for letting you guys down. That would have been game number 1, but weren't able to do it. He, in fact, used the Showstopper, Nuguri did, in order to cancel a Gnar ultimate that would have hit 3 people.
Yeah.
That was pretty unbelievable stuff coming in for Nuguri, but wasn't enough for them to actually win the game, and T1 have got themselves on the board. They'll accept a 2-1 victory, especially if it's a back from the brink style and they can close out with a comfortable game 3 that is a little bit less back and forth. Because right now we've had entertaining games, yes, but not necessarily clean League of Legends.
Yeah, I mean, this has definitely been very chaotic. That game was super slow until that final explosion.
Yeah. And then the team fight went for like 7 minutes.
That was Mentos into Coke. If, you know, that was
just drop it right in the top. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that it happened because it certainly was a long one. 47 minutes, very close to 48 minutes in duration. Faker doing the most damage, I think, tells a bigger story than this graph necessarily represents because he was able to get himself into situations that DWG should have had answers for, right?
Yeah,
but he was able to get around and get that poke and get the work done and even build himself up large CS leads while he's doing it as well. So just impressive stuff from the man in the mid lane, which is why he's our most popular player. Well, just proving it time and time again.
We'll see if in game number 3, T1 though, if they can get the upper hand and what that would mean going into draft. Because DWG, they might just tilt going into game number 3. Nuguri seemed like he stormed off the stage.
And yes, Nuguri, we are going the distance for our first match of Spring 2020 LCK. And there it is, the Demon King himself of the mid lane, just wreaking some havoc on his LeBlanc. And I want to go back to the draft just a little bit. Oh, I do want to talk about the fact that Beryl is coming in for Hoit. Beryl was the support that DWG did use for the majority of Worlds. Hoit played most of the regular season games in 2019. But interesting to see Beryl taking some time to make his way back onto the Rift. And after Hoit did have some issues, I think it's understandable that they would switch in Beryl.
No, I'm actually curious. Now, I have run into Beryl actually a few times in the last, like, 3 days.
Oh, yeah.
And every single time he was actually playing Senna. Which is really bizarre. Now, I'm wondering if he's brought in to actually pick Senna, because we haven't seen her.
Haven't seen her in any position so far today,
so
which I think is interesting.
See if we get some sort of a combo with Senna in the bot lane that could end up maybe being deemed as important. DAMWON, they're going to ban the Rek'Sai, T1 banning Lucian and Mordekaiser.
Yep, pretty understandable. DAMWON probably going to go for the Elise next, unless they have to ban the Akali round 2. But Akali or Elise should be coming in here if they're sticking to the script that they wrote for themselves. And there it is.
Elise.
And it looks like we've got a lot of handshaking when it comes to the 80 carry picks as well, because these teams really are set in their bans. I like Talia. I like Talia in against Canyon because he's just so damn good at that champion. Really gives DAMWON 3 carries rather than the 2 that they normally have, sort of as a team, utilizing ShowMaker and Nuguri, so almost exclusively. So not going to have that option, as the final ban will be the Akali, so exactly the same, I believe, as Game 1.
Okay, they're still saying...
Oh, actually, no. So, the slight change-up from Game 1, both of these teams switching back to, of course, our Game 1 sides of the Rift, is that this time Mordekaiser is banned.
Is Vlad gonna come out? Maybe. So, there's a few set counters. Kled, Fiora.
Yep.
Some people consider Vladimir to be one of the set counters as well.
I guess he could just be frustrating. Have that range advantage and be able to pull a lot of his combos.
Yeah, there's some other mages that you can just take up into the top lane against him as well. But instead, we're going to R1 Aphelios, R2 Lee Sin. Now we'll see how T1 ends up responding. Now remember, they have the set, which he has a forced engage, a part of his kit. Will we just get the Gragas? Okay, well...
I like it. I mean, Cuzz has just been so good on Gragas. I actually don't mind it in any composition. We spoke about this on the podcast. He's got so many different modes. Cuzz, in fact, showing that he was able to demonstrate that really beautifully in Game 2.
Well, we're getting a repeat of their Game number 1 draft.
I was about to say, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, but they lost Game 1. So...
Now, the only thing different is that Mordekaiser is not going to end up being here for DAMWON. And instead, they're hovering Thresh, so it's not going to be any Aphelios Senna type of shenanigan bot lane.
Yep, that is going to be a lot of CC availability down there. We'll see whether T1 just goes back to the Leona or whether DAMWON actually deem it viable to ban that one out, because Effort has been sitting on that champ for the majority of the time here. So this first game.
Supports out, I think, almost certainly.
Well,
at this
you're
point.
Certainly correct when it comes to the first one, as Nort hits the bench.
And then DAMWON, it's actually really hard to pinch. I mean, T1, it's actually pretty hard to pinch. Maybe they'll continue to try to ban away their theorized set counters, like Aatrox or something of that nature. Instead, actually, gonna be the Syndra banned away.
Yep, this is what they failed to ban in this game in comparison to the first game. So just gonna get rid of it. Make sure that DAMWON can't just pick up the Syndra and threaten it sort of as a very comfortable blind. Faker just not wanting to deal with it. LeBlanc taken away. Understandable. Because Faker hard carried on it when he shouldn't have been able to. Much is Faker's want to do. Now the final ban being looked for here for T1. Will it be the Renekton to try and alleviate some of Roach's issues potentially on the top side, or whether it'll be something else instead?
It's gonna end up being gonna end up being the Rise. So on R4 here, if you can actually pick a champion that can go into both lanes, that's gonna be the most ideal. So a mid-top flex champion of some sort would be really good, but we'll see what DAMWON want to end up doing. Or you could just pick your top laner because you know that going up against Seth. Okay, so it's not a set counter in lane. it's a set counter in theme.
Got
so
it.
the longer that the game goes, Kayle will eventually invalidate Set almost as a champion. Once she does obviously get access to her range form, then she does actually start bullying him inside of the lane. Kayle still is Snail, however, so we're probably going to be in for a long one. I wouldn't be surprised if DAMWON pair this with yet another scaling champion.
What is going... the potential scaling picks... Oh, that is mid lane Tristana.
Or
top lane.
Yeah.
And then mid lane Set would be coming. Interesting. The multi-flex solo lane Tristana or Misfortune, theoretically.
This is definitely a peculiar spot here. Cassiopeia, I talked about this in game number 1. Lots of low-range champions on the side of T1 that have to be close quarter combat, but instead they're actually going to shuffle over to Orianna. And champions like Orianna, Azir, Zoe, things of those nature, they've been coming back into the meta because everything that was good keeps getting hit.
Yep.
And in 10.3, things that are good get hit again. And so when this keeps happening, generally the champions that they themselves suck too, but their kit is really good.
It's the meta checkers, right? Like Victor,
the meta
Orianna,
checker. Yeah,
those sort of
that's
things.
a really good term.
Yeah.
That's basically what those champions are. They're in the grave, and then once in a blue moon, the meta just sort of gets nerfed to a point where they're like, it's my time again.
Yeah, my time to shine. Get me back in there. Well,
it's like Pennywise or something.
Well, Orianna is back there this time for ShowMaker, and DAMWON showing that once again they do have a lot of scaling availability on their squad. They weren't even able to utilize it in game 2, but it did work out in game number 1. T1 now with a very interesting composition that they put together for themselves, but certainly a lot of mobility from the jungle mid position, and can be catching out this DAMWON squad pretty comfortably. So let's see whether they'll be able to, and see whether Faker keeps the fire alive in his boots that he had in game number 2 with that hard carry LeBlanc performance.
Basically, this game is going to be the motto once again for DAMWON. They're the ones with the better scaling. They're the ones that need to just be patient and not try to into the opponent. And if they can do that, they've set themselves up again with yet another draft win.
Let's not int. That's going to be the strategy here as we're in to game 3. T1 wanting to wrap it up and take away a first victory here in the LCK for 2020. A lot of the fans had some doubts about this roster, and a win here would certainly help silence some of those. As we got a level 1 planned. Effort thinking about getting a hook available and has already skilled it, but not going to find any cheeky Lee Sins. Just going to get some deep vision to make sure that they know exactly where Canyon is going to be starting. Mirrored wards here for DAMWON on the bottom side as well. And Nuguri, with his fleet footwork available to himself, is just hanging out, ready to help give a leash to his jungler, who will be starting topside. Mirrored starts here on the red buffs for both junglers.
Well, we'll see what Gragas can end up doing. Now, I will say that this time around, he does have the ability to go Glass Cannon. He can actually go Sork Pen Boots with Oblivion Orb and probably deal true damage to most of the targets. Well, as, we're going to have a mid lane Set. Now, Orianna is actually a rough matchup for Set. So we'll see how Roach is going to play this. He's gone Aftershock here on him. Also has Shield Bash, and now he's taking Cosmic Insight and Magical Boots. So definitely some strange runes.
Yeah, that's an odd one. See whether that means that this is going to be Roach playing more of that tank set initiator type style. This way he can have the Aftershock when he dives himself into the backline, but you do need to build tank stats to make Aftershock really work for you now. It has been certainly changed, so it's not like the Lissandras of the world can take it so much anymore.
Do you miss Lissandra?
No.
What?
Absolutely not. I feel like she's another one of those meta checkers.
Look at the flatulence. Honestly. I mean, you have to wonder what she's ate. Because it's still going. Oh, man. Now, here's a question I have for you.
Okay, go.
Is Summoner's Rift underwater? You
No,
see those
it's
bubbles?
in the sky.
You don't know that.
Yeah, I do. You can
No, you
see
don't.
it. You can see the ground in the
This
distance.
could be like that park that
Oh,
goes under. You know what I'm talking about?
So you're talking about like those
the mountain melts the ice, right?
No,
And then
but also if you've watched the Megalodon movie, you know, it's about that
Ooh.
sub-sea, under the
Yes.
sea in the Mariana Trench or whatever.
Yes.
And you can't break that open, otherwise you'll get the big shark to come out.
Exactly what I'm talking about, Alice, and I'm
Yeah.
really glad that you're following up on it.
I watch terrible movies
So-
just so I can follow up on stuff like that, just for you.
I actually watched that in the movie theaters. I regretted it the entire time.
Yeah, that's not a great choice.
Yeah. That was definitely something.
Well, Faker,
Now-
able to play pretty aggressively here in this lane. Probably a large reason as to why he allocated himself up here.
A lot of damage.
He took
And
a
also,
cheeky turret shot. I like that.
Nuguri's doing a pretty good job at keeping up in the CS department. Good spacing by ShowMaker, actually failing to really bully Roach, though. Although, ShowMaker does still have 3 corrupting potions available, so being at 55, 60% mana, as well as still having all your potions, that's probably a completely fine thing.
Super aggressive there as Nuguri has to flash to get out of the way of Faker. Really cool head here from Faker's Tristana, as both of them are going to share recall timings, but now flash available for Faker, unavailable for Nuguri. Teleport there for the Kayle though, so assuming Nuguri can now pick up this minion wave and put his wave in a position that he wants it, possibly a slight advantage if no jungle attention is going to be given to the top lane in the next 5 minutes.
The other thing about this is Infernal Dragon's the first one of the game. It is super important to both of these teams. Obviously, Kayle.
I have a feeling DAMWON's going to want it a little bit more than T1, given the fact that they want to be waiting as long as possible to win this game.
Yeah.
But I do see what you're talking about. Double AD carry certainly lends itself to having more stats.
And also, in this game, Canyon, he doesn't really have an obligation to do anything. It's mostly just to try to match and counter gank the Gragas at all points. If he can find something, it's most likely going to be through mid or bot lane. Not likely through top. And you can see Nuguri at this exact moment. He has to respect Predator Gragas because he's flashless. And so this means that he has to concede this XP, and you can just see the spacing that Faker's doing.
Is this a freeze?
Well, it is a freeze. Alice, okay.
Do we do that in the LCK?
You
I
see,
thought freezes
freezing-
were disabled in the LCK.
This is a forbidden tactic. Okay. Now,
It's
what's
a lost
happening here?
style. I think it's a lost style, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a lost style.
Yeah.
You know. So, what's happening is Nuguri, due to the inability to approach the wave for fear of being collapsed on by the enemy jungler, has to sit outside the range of experience as well as be incapable of getting farm. So it's really weird how that works. It's sort of like, you know, sort of like an embargo.
Yeah.
So they're getting starved. But now the wave is unlocked. It's pushing back in. However, Nuguri has unlocked Super Saiyan 1.
Yep, does have the ranged form. I think I'd call it Kaioken. It's not quite Super Saiyan
Okay,
just
I like
yet.
that.
As
I
the
can go
exhaust
with
comes
that.
down on the bottom side, but we're having a look at this teleport from ShowMaker moving into the top side of the map, unable to lock down Cuzz in any way, shape, or form. He predated to get himself out of there. And now it's Roach that's got out of position, gets himself a huge shield, and punches ShowMaker with it.
Oh.
But there's the showstopper onto Canyon. Barrel comes down. Canyon might have to tank up a turret shot, but the command attack not going to be able to kill Roach. The Q is there, but Canyon not going to suffer the Lee Syndrome, and is going to get out. So close to a first blood, but so far we're neck and neck.
Yeah, and I mean, they end up making out, though, in the sense that they get 2 really key flashes, actually. And it's occurring nearing the end of the early game phase, or at least the first half of it.
Yep.
And so dragon rotations, herald, things of that nature, obviously something to pay attention to. Orianna, with that lost chapter, with the corrupting potions, going to be able to start expending a lot of mana. And yet again, Roach, with the Black Cleaver build, I don't know, Cotton.
Yeah, Yeah, we'll see how it works out for him. You know, it's a strategy.
Is it a strategy?
It's a risky strategy.
Okay.
I don't actually remember the exact dodgeball quote. I'm really sorry, everyone. I've let everyone down.
It's all right.
Oh, Cuzz is going to go back home, see what he can build up. As he's got a lot of lanes that he can gank. Nuguri's still got a minute or two on that flash before it comes available. And ShowMaker as well. 3/4 of the cooldown still remain. So Faker up here, flash available. Can get the flash buster shot stuff happening if he would like to.
So I want to take this moment because now we've had 3 set games, 1 Trinity Force, double Black Cleaver yet again.
Yeah.
The thing I want to talk about Black Cleaver, for people that are wondering why am I criticizing it so heavily, Set aims to deal true damage with his Haymaker inside of teamfights. Set also does not just stand there and punch one target over and over and over. And even if he can, Black Cleaver, once you get it fully stacked, 24% armor shred. So against targets that aren't building armor, let's say they have 80, 90 armor, you're only getting 19, a little bit over 20 pen, which is the equivalency of a lethality item. Whereas Trinity Force, the Spellblade proc will deal more damage than the Black Cleaver armor shred can grant you, and you'll get attack speed, and you'll get movement speed, which will help Set reposition in fights, which is what he tries to do. Because he's not just sitting there left-righting people all over. He's trying to reposition for Aziz, reposition for additional haymakers, etc.
And also, given the fact that Roach has built this more teamfighty type style, it lends itself even more to just getting the showstopper and diving on in. Now we understand why they picked this, by the way, as the barrel comes down. Great ult there from Nuguri, but is it going to be enough to keep him alive? As he's just getting punted around. Faker surviving, dives on back, not enough to kill him with that last auto. He had the potion ticking. That's why we click on our potions, ladies and gentlemen. And first blood goes to Faker on the top side of the map for T1.
They ended up losing Infernal Dragon, but they're going to get a lot of acceleration on this Tristana. This is going to be a 5-plate first turret blood Tristana. And it's Faker on Tristana, so...
That's the scary thing. We know that when Faker's in form, he's like no other player, as Effort was looking to try and mind game Nuclear there. Nuclear just doesn't press the lantern. Let's have a look at this one more time. Faker's pro view.
배팅 먼저. 탑 잡았어. 탑 잡았어. 아우 갈만한데. 잘하고.
That's a good job at the end.
I like how he says good job instead of being terrified of the fact that that last minion auto got him down to single-digit health.
Yeah.
It was all calculated, guys. It's what happens when you're Faker level.
Now Barrel looking to do a lantern play here. Teddy and Effort both have... Oh, man.
Yeah, Cuzz is in position, but is the counter hook going to be there? Effort flashes himself back. Bullet time comes down. Canyon gets the heal from Nuclear and survives. Nuclear picks up one of the kills. As now, that boot back from the barrel, probably enough to secure him a double. ShowMaker grabs the kill for himself, and that's a bit of a catastrophic error there on T1's side.
What a punt out of Canyon. I thought the Effort was actually just going to collide into the wall, but...
Yeah, that was actually really strange, because Canyon didn't even make it over the wall.
That was really bizarre.
I think the barrel from Cuzz, though, that just did not quite work out. Making Nuclear even closer in order to lock down the kills. That was a rocket jump. Yeah, fine, we'll see this again.
Let's look at this one more time. The spacing had to be so clean right there in order to
intentionally
get the Blitzcrank over the wall. And so just imagine the leg on that Lee Sin. He probably played soccer growing up.
Never mind, that actually wasn't some sort of error. He decided that he wanted to do that because the Q was already activated and decided to hit an early resonating strike to leave the kill available for the Aphelios. That's super clutch from Canyon. He's been playing some really clean Lee Sin so far today, continuing that in this game.
Set now has the Black Cleaver completed, Blade of the Ruined King on the Tristana. And now, at this point, we're going to enter into a little bit of a lull state as we take a look at a replay.
Yeah, something happened as ShowMaker takes a lot of damage, and then He gets turned around on, and Faker very close to falling here in the mid lane. Doesn't actually. We cut the video, and as you can see, there's no one there. I thought the last tick might have been enough, but not going to happen. Thankfully, he had some lifesteal in his build at that stage, because the Blade the Ruin King has been completed now.
And this Tristana is just shredding through turret plates, getting so much gold and amplification going into the mid-game. Roach going to come over here and actually find Nuguri.
Yeah.
And now who's going to win the fight?
Yeah, Roach gets it. Good haymaker, and that's just going to be a leash from Nuguri. Didn't have the rest of his team over there. And greedily tries to take that red before he's strong enough to fend off any opposition. Play comes in, but misses the hook. And now Effort finds himself in an odd position. The pullback after the kick comes in, and that's what was supposed to happen last time.
Oh!
There's the face smash. There's the showstopper from Roach. This is the team fight set that we were looking for, and already 2 kills come in for T1. The disengage now to come forward, but Faker is still going aggressive. 2 turret shots, but no one's going to turn around and try and punish him, and more turret plates going to T1.
And this is really, really, really big at this point. T1 are getting quite far ahead right now. They're up 2 and almost 1,500 gold. Tristana, I think she's going to be able to get that last plate. She will. And probably even going to be able to actually get the turret. T1's also going to be able to pick up the Mountain Dragon for themselves. And so at the end of this, they're ahead 3,000 gold. They're probably going to be...
Whoa, he's ahead by more than a BF sword over ShowMaker.
Yeah, it's quite a very...
Not that ShowMaker would
large
build a BF
advantage.
sword, but still, yeah, it is a big one.
Canyon trying to do a kick right there, but then Gragas just in the right place at the right time.
Did you watch Effort as well? He got the knock up to interrupt the safeguard that secured the first kill. Really beautiful stuff. As we've got even Drakes once again, and another Cloud Soul. Come on! We want to show a different thing for our analyst desk, LS.
It's not raining.
Yeah, that's true. It was snowing, so I guess
It was snowing.
cloudy makes more sense.
It does make more sense. Thank you. Get with the times.
Yeah,
I mean, you're the one wearing white.
that's true.
You know?
That's true. I guess I should understand the cloudiness and the snow. But this has been a snowless winter, dude. This is the first day of snow was yesterday, and it's February.
Yeah.
It's not fair. I'm from Australia. I don't get to see snow. I'm now in a country that gets snow. No snow. It's a disaster. It's not what I wanted.
How was your visit back to Australia?
It was great.
Was it?
It was lovely to see the family, you know.
All right.
It was a bit smoky over there.
Okay.
But otherwise, it was all right. And thankfully, none of my family were too affected by the fires. Made sure that we were certainly donating where we could to try and help the fire awareness. Feel like we've gone from catastrophe to catastrophe.
Yeah.
Traveling from Australia to here in Korea, where the coronavirus has certainly found a few targets. Us doing what we can. I beg your pardon?
I believe there's 15 right now.
Yeah, I think 15 or 16, yeah, cases so far. But a lot of people being very diligent. You'll go onto the train and everyone has a face mask. So doing our very best to try and keep everyone safe.
Public metro and just people in public in general is actually... Where I'm living right now in Incheon, or Bucheon, there's actually not a lot of people when you go outside. Even the PC bongs are
it's sort of like a more
empty.
where you live type place rather than a where you go. So like the amount of street life isn't necessarily as high. I'm towards the Hongdae area, so don't worry, there's everyone everywhere all the time. So the face mask's a little bit more necessary in my neck of the woods. Bullet time coming in here from Teddy to clear out this minion wave, and does so very effectively. And you can see Roach on the top side. That's a big ability for one poor cannon creep, but securing them cannons, always worthy. As Faker is just putting together his checkbook, you know? His investment is certainly working out so far. As you can see, damage dealt, also something that Faker's been able to take care of. And it was the early game that was a bit of a miss for Faker in Game 2. Yeah. But Game 1, he is hard carry on a champion that also scales very well. So
Tristana and MF are two of the scaling components here for T1. And then obviously Gragas, which I'm really surprised he didn't do what I mentioned, just getting the Sword Pen boots, getting the Oblivion Orb, and dealing true damage. look at Kale's magic resistance. It's 38, so
Yeah.
with the boots and with...
And I believe Aphelios has one of the lowest base magic resistance in the game as well, so it works very, very well against him.
Hopefully
At the
we
same
see
time,
when it pans to it.
yep, he has a base like tiny number of MR. On Nuclear with the Infernum set up for himself, and that is a beautiful hook. Just from the darkness, and Faker's reign of terror continues. He's on a killing spree now, and he didn't need the kill gold. He had already racked up so many plates. He's a crockery shop, this guy. And killing the creeps and the champions, everything that can net you even more money.
And now, at this point in the game, T1, they're ahead just over 4,000 gold. All of it really on that Tristana. And so as long as they can keep Faker safe, they're likely going to be able to get the Cloud Drake. And it's going to come down to the Baron. So, DAMWON, they're not out of the game yet. They're still scaling up. They're still waiting.
Faker's playing this like it's a co-op versus AI, you know, where you're just running around the map to each minion wave and destroying it. Trying to get as much money. He's speed running to like the most money possible, which I believe is a category. I remember Achilles and I came up with a new category, which is speed clearing all the turrets.
Okay.
That is now officially registered.
All right.
So I wonder whether, you know, try to get to 10,000 gold is another category in the speed running of League of Legends, which I didn't know was a thing until then, but it is.
You know what I thought of when I was in the taxi
What?
on the way over here today? I was thinking about efficiency in League, and then I thought, can you imagine if speedrunners cleared, or did jungle clears?
Oh yeah, like
Because
speed run, like jungle, like first clears and stuff like that.
I just imagine they would take it a lot more serious than pro junglers would.
Yeah, maybe.
In terms of just
I'm like,
raw efficiency, because one of the biggest examples of clear discrepancies actually happens on the Karthus.
Yeah.
If you're really good at him, you can clear anywhere from 259 to 305. Tends to be where it's at. If you're really bad at him, you tend to finish around 320. And that's massive when you consider it.
Yeah. I remember back to, did you watch Stonewall videos back in the day?
No.
He was a guy that, before jungle was even really a thing, was already writing guides
when
on
was
how
this?
to...
Because I joined LoL in Season 4.
Yeah, so this was like Season 2 and 3 was his heyday, where he basically put out a video of how fast you could jungle on basically every champion. He had one of like jungling everything. Before like... This was at a time where it was difficult for some people to get around jungling with Warwick, you know? Because the jungle was just more difficult of a thing to do back then.
Didn't the jungle hurt?
Oh yeah, a lot.
It actually hurt, yeah.
And jungling wasn't even a thing that you necessarily had to do in like Season 1. Like jungling towards the end of Season 1 was when it was really affirmed, but the beginning it was the Wild West, man. You could do whatever the heck you wanted. And he was the guy that we'd look to, and like I think that's the closest representation of what like speed clearing the jungle was back then. Yeah. I don't know whether there's someone out there now that's sort of taking his place. I haven't seen too many Stonewall videos recently. There's a few names that have certainly been and gone here in our 10-year-old game.
And I guess the other thing in this game right now is T1 are just playing really patient. This is actually this is normally the part of the game where I start talking about the forbidden F word.
Oh no.
No, not that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which one? Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, that one. But we're just playing ping pong, and when you're playing ping pong, you'll notice that the gold has kind of locked in terms of the gap between both teams. Obviously, T1 gets slight incremental amounts, but like for instance, ShowMaker didn't need to eat this wave immediately. Yeah. Could have actually denied Faker several minions of this incoming wave. And if you do that repeatedly over and over and over, it ends up equating to a kill. Yep. But we don't have players doing that. However, because T1 are just playing ping pong with all the side lanes over and over, Kale's getting to scale, Orianna's getting to scale, and sure, T1 keeps getting resources and stuff, but they can't just up and start the Baron.
Ooh, nice safeguard there from Canyon. Doesn't even need to use a flash. The thing I do want to point out, I guess, is like a slight counterpoint, is that now T1 can do stuff like this because they have the inner turret mid taken. They can basically deny things like Raptors and Wolves over and over again. DAMWON have to expend more resources on buying wards to keep this vision out of their jungle and things like that. There are certainly things that DAMWON are bleeding gold, but with a composition like this, I think you might be right, given the fact that they have the Kayle, they have the Orianna and the Aphelios. Their scaling is just possibly going to be able to outweigh what are the economic losses that you'd get from handshaking a mid-game like this. We'll just see whether T1 can actually force the issue, because they do need to get to a point where they're comfortable of taking a fight before DAMWON can really get that true level up, because Nuguri is going to get towards Super Saiyan 2 really, really fast.
Yeah. Well, he's already actually at
No,
Super
Kaioken,
Saiyan 2.
Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 2.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And Super Saiyan 2 is the Cell games.
Yeah, and that's like
The best.
my favorite.
Yeah.
I liked Frieza a lot because like that first moment where Goku hit Super Saiyan was
the 3-episode
cool.
long Super Saiyan?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was...
It was certainly a bit
Have
of
you
a
watched any
ride.
Super?
No. I sort of stopped. I watched a bit of. I watched most of Majin Buu and that sort of area and that sort of stuff, but like sort of like left after
Majin
that.
Buu is very cute.
Yeah,
I
liked Majin
he is
Buu.
very plumpy, fluffy, and lovely. Okay.
It was
and
just
his
when we
favorite
got
Pokemon
to
is
GT
Snorlax.
that I was like really confused.
Well,
I'm like,
GT is
why
not
is everyone
canon.
a monkey again and all this sort of stuff? It
Yeah,
was really
let's not talk about that.
it was
Leave GT out.
Okay, is GT actually not canon? Agree.
It's not canon, no.
Oh damn.
It repicks
I
up
didn't even know
at
that.
Super. Now, I'm not going to spoiler anything for you or anyone in the chat, but the writing does go off theme with what one would expect from the usual storyline of
Okay.
Goku loses, villain shows up, looks like they're going to win, Goku wins.
Oh wow.
Goku loses, villain shows up, Goku gets stronger, Goku wins. You know how
Yeah.
they repeat that for about
Yeah.
4 sagas? Yeah.
But that's what I'm used to.
Super
you know?
finally deviates from it.
Oh, I don't want
But
that.
I'm not gonna- I'm
That's
not
not
gonna
Dragon
leave.
Ball Z.
That's,
It's a show because it's the same storyline every time, and we still want to watch it.
well... That's
Yeah, man.
actually so insane how true that is.
Yeah, I know, right? that's the ingenious thing that Dragon Ball Z managed
When
to do.
did animes or comics start actually having the protagonists genuinely lose?
Ooh, I don't know.
Because I'm actually personally a huge fan of heel turns.
Oh, yeah.
Or face turns. Like, do you follow The Walking Dead?
Yeah, I watched it. Yeah.
Okay, well, it's not The Walking Dead anymore, it's the Negan show.
Oh yeah.
So,
But he was just such a good character that they had to change it up, you know?
his turn to anti-hero is all that I'm watching it for now.
Yeah,
Literally.
Actually,
Just like
What am
Vegeta,
I?
actually.
I think I'm at the end of like season 8, and
Oh, so you
haven't
don't know
started
about
season
his
9
turn yet?
No, I knew it was
Oh,
gonna happen
okay.
based on like the fact that he was incarcerated for like an entire season.
Yeah, so...
Like, they were obviously keeping him on the back burner for something.
yeah.
I don't know whether we're spoiling too much
And,
here.
no, Jeffrey Dean Morgan is one of the best actors.
He's a Tekken character, dude.
He's
It's so cool.
awesome. You know what else is awesome? This game, Alice, which we had to take a brief pause from in order to relax.
Yeah, I mean, this is
From
is
all
this-
the goodness.
Wait, hang on. Is this the lull state or is this the pog state?
I don't even know.
I don't remember. We had to explain what the pog state was, and now I'm even less sure about what the pog state even is.
Well, by playing ping pong over and over and over, the gold gap has extended 1,000 gold over several minutes, so...
Yeah, I mean, this is what T1 had set themselves up for, right? Like, they can dictate the pace of this game, and what DAMWON have to do is say that hopefully we can avoid action long enough for Kayle, Orianna, and Aphelios to be able to just be better champions. But, look, we're not there yet. And we'll see whether we ever get there. Because T1 are getting to the point where they can pretty comfortably just smack down the Baron.
You know the SpongeBob, a few moments later?
Yes.
Yeah,
Few
that's-
moments later.
Yeah, yeah,
That
that's
one?
good. This is really good. So freezing...
So wait, we need to do that right now. We'll be back in a minute. Guys.
Yeah, I think we're
We're
gonna...
just gonna skip forward reality.
Yeah, we're gonna pause for a little bit.
If only we could somehow.
Not a SPO TV pause. We're not doing one of those again, Atlas.
Toilet issue?
No, the one where I had to leave.
Oh, yeah.
The lights.
Yeah. No, that was a Kesper pause. That's not a I mean, we were at the SPO TV Nexon Arena.
Pause, yeah.
Yeah, but it is still a pause. It's not the kind of pause that you want. Roach leading on XP at the moment alongside his fellow solo laner in Faker. Both of them hitting that level 16 mark. Faker's able to draw a lot of beads.
Yeah.
A lot of his ability to draw them is very, very strong. For those playing at home, that is
Nuguri is about
extended range.
to ascend, and there it is. That's Super Saiyan 2. You can actually tell by the glowingness. That's the electricity.
Yeah, because it can't be Super Saiyan 3, can it? Because
No,
she
not unless
doesn't
she
get
would, like,
longer hair.
Yeah, well, maybe they'll make a skin. I think that you just gave them a great idea.
Yeah, there we go. But
Yeah.
it is pretty perfect for Super Saiyan 2 because you get more of those extra electricities.
Yeah.
Nice.
Here's a question. What if LOL... No, they can't do that. I was going to say, what if they increase the level cap? As a way to balance things. They add one extra... No, that's just way too chaotic.
That seems crazy.
Yeah.
As Epic going to take a bit of damage there. DAMWON hot on the heels of T1, but you can see they're not super happy yet to try and take a fight unless ShowMaker can line up a free shockwave onto everyone. Which I doubt he's going to get given the opportunity to. Roach is going that tank set that we were talking about. The Gargoyle's Stone Plate is completed now as well. So he can just press that R button and have, you know, a lot of extra resistances with his Aftershock.
So we're gonna get one team fight, and I don't know how you feel about that, but you let me know. How do you feel?
Well, actually pretty good. I'm glad that I got to have a bit of a break because that last, like, 5-6 minute team fight was
Not
enough.
like this.
There's in goes effort to die.
And now DAMWON gonna go over to Baron.
And take it for free. Unless T1 can win a 4 versus 5, or Cuzz can steal this one out of the way, not able to. And that's
gonna
a
lose
free
the
Baron
game.
going to DAMWON. So maybe we don't even get a team fight. That'd be sad.
Well, okay, so if you're T1, do you even take Cloud Drake right now?
I mean, yeah, because then he can run
Well,
fast.
I think it's actually really, I think this is genuinely...
Oh, then you give an opportunity for Elder faster. Yeah. Okay.
So this is a really bizarre spot where I think you have to not take it intentionally to deny the Elder spawn. This is something I used to talk about last year, if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
Intentionally not taking dragons or waiting until 29:30. And that is actually what's going to end up happening.
And I actually like it even more now because you can extend it really, really far. We can possibly have an Elder Drake.
Yes,
If DAMWON now
yes.
take these off cooldown, the Elder Drake is at least 10 minutes into the future.
Oh, wait. Well, longer than that.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
At least 15 minutes. Sorry.
So that is an unholy amount of time to have to wait. And so DAMWON, I mean, the gold score...
Teddy's almost Flame Horizon the clock.
But that's
By the
fine.
way. It's not bad.
Let's take a look at this really quick. So, effort goes in, and software malfunction.
Well, Nuclear just, like, didn't get... I'm not... So, you know there are moments and you can explain in the replay what they were trying to do? We know that Effort was trying to land a hook onto the Aphelios. But beyond that, I just... Yeah, that was never going to really happen, was it? Because they didn't even have vision in that area, like, at all.
But also, this is now the spot where things get really awkward. It's all range champions. This is Set's worst nightmare to try to jump into. No one has bonus health, realistically. Everyone can kite away from you. Everyone has repositioning tools. Everyone has movement speed. Set sucks for this exact reason when he gets drafted against in this way, and this is where I've been a really big critic about blue side set picks super early on. I have no problem with him coming in on B4, B5 inside of the draft, but when you B1 him, and then something like this ends up happening, it definitely can start to highlight some of his weaknesses, but also show you, well, you can just recalibrate your draft and adjust it and then sort of invalidate one of their champions. It's another thing that, you know, on the podcast that we have going on, I talked about.
Yeah, this was a perfect highlight of exactly what you were talking about on the podcast of Set just not having enough modes to validate his
B1
priority pick.
Yeah. And unless he's severely overtuned, because sometimes that does exist.
Yeah.
Sometimes a champion only has one mode,
But
but
they
they're
do it
overtuned.
so well, right? Yeah.
They're so overtuned that it just doesn't matter.
Well, T1 had a pretty linear gold expansion, as you saw during their denial of the jungle camps and the incredible amount of inaction that was happening. They still have that 4,000 gold lead. That's the Vigil that flies down. Gravitum, of course, meaning that a lot of CC is available, and Teddy had to use his Mercurial Scimitar. But otherwise not going to find too much as DAMWON now, they're getting aggressive. The hook is going to come in, Cuzz body slams out of the way. As Roach wants to try and stop Nuguri, but he can't do it. Super Saiyan 2, too strong. And they have to just watch this in a turret fall. DAMWON, it feels like things have turned for the more established roster. Yes, T1 retained their bottom side of the map and mid, but this is still Cuzz and Roach trying to feel things out and trying to get used to this roster on the main stage. And it may take a few weeks before that one is entirely shored up. But Fat Lady has not started warming up her vocal cords as of yet. And we still have a 4,000 gold lead for T1.
And Gragas has the Oblivion Orb, by the way, heading towards, I'm assuming, Morello. And so, with the Philios, I assume that he's going to end up picking up Bloodthirster. Kale obviously has her heal. She has quite a bit of AP coming in, also has the Gunblade. I mean, at this point, when you're starved economically as a jungler, and you already have the Oblivion Orb because it's actually so valuable due to the lack of magic resistance on the enemy team, I mean, I'm going to actually go ahead here. I'm going to give him a pass. Okay?
All right.
That is a Morello okay comp.
Whew.
Yeah.
I never thought we'd see the day. You've done it before that one time, but I like to try and forget it because it's not on brand. Nuguri looks like he's going for the ultimate greed max damage build. Looking for Rabbidan's Deathcap into Void Staff, most likely. We'll see whether he does commit to it. I like it, personally, because it means that even the ultimate is just going to proc for massive damage. And then you can do some really interesting things. Do you remember the Kai'Sa comp, of course, you know, where you dive yourself into the backline. This is something that DAMWON was very, very good at with Nuclear on the sort of suicide Kai'Sa into the back. Because Aphelios, with his short-range weaponry, does have opportunities to play really up close and personal for maximum deeps. You just put an ult on him and keep him alive for a really long time. You can be that bomb that we were looking at.
Yeah.
Now T1 will lock down the Dragon Soul.
Actually really risky now, though. This is a little bit peculiar, especially because it's not going to line up with Baron respawn, so it's not like there's a guillotine.
But if they can win this team fight, it certainly will be good news for them, and T1 now have the Dragon Soul to help them out.
Oh!
There's the Gravitum. He's going to get a snare onto the Set, but he's not exactly the target they want. Two-man Shockwave into the backside, but Roach is so strong. The Aphelios immediately gets rid of Faker, and now Beryl lands a hook from beyond the grave. Canyon gets the kickback, but Roach uses it as a taxi. Teddy has taken down the Thresh, but can they actually find the team fight because Nuclear is so damn strong? Not going to have him just yet. Has himself the Severum now, cycling it back and forth. Not exactly a lot of range, but the DPS that these weapons have from Nuclear is really high.
The minions are going to die, so it looked like T1 was actually thinking, we're going to get the inhibitor turret at the very least, but you can see the problem T1 are going to have in teamfight. Set does not have a target that he can obviously go on. Let's take a look at it one more time. I mean, Aphelios doesn't get the most insane ultimate. Set ends up getting hooked up. Beryl looks like he's just going to die. Canyon kicks Faker into the team. Roach goes into DAMWON, and then Kale says, hey, what's up? And then Set has to run for the hills, ults Canyon back into the team, and now he's done. He is completely out of this fight. He can press Q and E however long he wants, but his job is just completely over. He's invalidated as a champion. And then they had to run for the hills, and now DAMWON, they have the Baron.
And they're starting to get towards the point of no return for T1. These items are stacking like you would not believe. Looks like Nuguri is going to forego the Void Staff. Wants to get towards his Zhonya's Hourglass instead, just to give himself even more invulnerability.
And, you know, I talked about this in the draft, that DAMWON, if it reached this stage of, or not even this stage, I mean, it's been this way for about 12, 13 minutes. It becomes so impossible for T1 to do anything. This is a game where Tristana had how many plates? 9?
Yeah.
10?
Many
maybe?
plates.
And she had a kill on her as well. She had everything that you could dream of. All of the lanes were basically completely fine. Your Gragas wasn't able to do true damage. You had a 6,000 gold lead in the mid game, and you can't do anything with it. And even DAMWON was actually fumbling the mid game, not freezing side lanes and denying XP and stuff like that. And the game just gravitates towards this stage, and we're seeing yet another draft issue highlighted now. In game number 2, T1 had so much better patience.
Not going to be enough. Canyon going to survive. That is a full round of spells, but Faker did not invest the Ignite. Might have actually been a kill if that was there, but hindsight 2020 and all that. Command Protect would have had a pretty short cooldown at this stage of the game. Double Bloodthirsters for both 80 carries of T1. Mercurial Scimitar completed for Teddy, very close to more of Malmortius' 6th item. And damage dealt now. It's Nuclear that's finally able to eclipse this squad. Having a redeeming performance here on the Aphelios. He was a bit forgettable in game 1 on the pick, but now maximum gold bounty. Hasn't died so far this game and even has a GA in case anyone from T1 gets their hands on him.
This is a really, really dangerous situation if you're a T1 fan. And like I was saying, in game number 2, T1, they remain calm and patient, and eventually DAMWON entered into them. This time, it's a lot more difficult. Nuguri's on a range champion.
Yeah.
That's not supposed to go in first, so they don't sort of have...
Even, like, Nuguri actually has no ways to, you know, use his kit to, like, int really aggressively, and also only has things into his kit that allow him to survive for longer. So, it's sort of like the opposite of what Set does. Almost the perfect pickup for Nuguri. I know, no Klepto available here, so it's not the classic Klepto Nuguri Kale. It's still the closest thing we can do.
One of the other things that I'm wondering right now is if T1 actually acknowledged, like, hey, we're not going to win this game, we need to just get Elder and flip.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if that could be one of the potential thought processes. Oh, man. It just feels really...
Well, that'll kill the minion wave. Teddy will have that one available quite soon as he goes back to base to finish his more of Malmortius. He's the last one that has a huge gold bounty on T1's side, so keeping him alive will certainly be a priority in the coming fight. But Canyon, I can feel the target that Teddy has on his back from this guy. Canyon has been so accurate in his insect plays.
Yeah. And the other thing is, you know, what feels so bad about this, Atlas, is regardless of if T1 win this or not, through outplaying DAMWON inside of a team fight,
or out-rotating them towards an inhibitor.
Yeah, or just out-macroing them, it doesn't change the state of the game or the position that they're currently in. And we spent probably 20 minutes talking about this in the podcast.
Yeah.
And it just, I hope it's really not a foreshadowing of what's to come for the rest of Spring Split, because in the podcast I talked about this very thing plaguing this team.
We haven't seen the adaptation on the drafts that we were asking for during the POG state, but we do have many, many weeks to go. As, okay, that's the ultimate. That's going to start things off here. Effort taking a lot of damage. Q is going to register. Possible taxi into the back line, but that is going to be the disengage, getting Nuguri out of the fight, and the ultimate now on cooldown. Great Foster shot there from Faker. No! The hook back onto Beryl, not the target that they're looking for. That is going to be the first kill there for Teddy as Canyon goes down to his GA, and Roach is just tanking up damage in the back line. There's the bullet time, but interrupted immediately with the shockwave, and now Teddy having to get himself out. But still, a T1 team fight win. They lost no one, but 2 on DAMWON's side.
And they're going to end up getting the
How
Elder
are they
Dragon.
doing this?
They're out-muscling DAMWON in fights that should be truthfully impossible to win when you consider the level of players
Down.
that
This is actually something that we were talking about that could be a detriment for a team like T1. You know, if you can, you know, opt into a draft like this and still win, then that's when the complacency starts setting in, you know? This is where the danger that we were referring to could potentially happen. But damn, dude, it is cool watching T1 navigate around hard mode team fights in the late game.
And, you know, the invert is also applicable. And what if you're DAMWON here and you think that you're losing because you fell behind early, or you attribute it to things that aren't really what is causing you to lose. Now, they get the Baron, and it wasn't immediately off of a reset, so they're going to lose some time recalling. We take a look at how this fight transpires. Now, the Kayle ultimate, obviously being cast early, Beryl walking way too far forward, ends up getting hooked by Effort, and then the teams just get completely separated. Canyon going in solo, doing his best Leroy Nuguri impression from game number 2. And Roach, you can see that he wasn't really able to do anything, but because the teammates were separated.
And that's the difference between a team fight where Canyon kicks one of the 80 carries and a team fight where he accidentally kicks Cuzz instead. Because that is not the target that you want. He has a Zhonya's completed. He almost has a death cap, for goodness sake, on this Gragas, who's going to be doing a lot of damage in his own right. Now we've got double 6-item 80 carry for T1, which is utterly terrifying. 304 for Teddy. He's been farming every minion possible so far this game. Over 500 as we crest the 44-minute mark. And now the siege is on with Elder Drake available and Dragon Soul. Everything T1 could ever want to help win this one.
They have to be so careful. Gunblade active, actually utilized right there by Nuguri.
They can't do this. There's just no way for them to even get to these siege minions.
It's Baron Elder. You can have any team comp. You can have Teemo right now, and he would still probably be a menace. So they need to just give up.
Sorry, Teemo is always a menace, by the way.
What?
He's always a menace.
Get out.
No matter what.
Teemo,
whether he's on your team, on the enemy team, no matter what he's doing, he's always a menace. Whether he's a relevant menace in the game, strategically, is the different story.
There's no team in Teemo. You know, you realize that?
Wait a sec. Yeah, you're right.
There is actually no team
you can't
in Teemo.
spell it unless you spell it wrong.
There is a me.
Yeah. There is me. Me too. Me too. We have both. Actually, no, there's not, because there's no double O, and you're going to spell 2 correctly, aren't you?
Teemo spells it like that.
Does it?
Yeah, that's Yordle.
Okay.
That's Yordle for you.
Well, T1, they're getting themselves towards the last remaining inhibitor. And DAMWON are doing their very best to wait this one out. Elder Drake has dissipated. Now would be
this
a time
is a fair fight now,
where DAMWON can actually try and get in, but T1, they recognize that they just need to follow a whole bunch of super creeps towards Nexus turrets and utilize the 6th man in order to get themselves the victory. I like them opting out of a straight-up front-to-back, face-to-face team fight. As they go home, we've got Effort. He's the only one that doesn't... Oh, no, apart from Roach as well. Neither the top lane or the support have their flashes, but good God, Teddy does a lot of damage. That red buff did not stand a chance. As T1, the Sharks are now circling DAMWON's base. There's double super creeps per wave. Taxi their way forward. Waves in decent spots here, as DAMWON do have to deal with this mid lane wave first. And as top and bot crash, should be a moment for T1 to just break down the front door. Try and take some Nexus turrets with their exorbitant amount of turret damage. But it's not over until it's over. Faker went back, got himself his rapid fire cannon, even more range for the level 18 Tristana is quite worrisome.
And so with all the super minions collapsing, one of the waves is obviously misaligned.
Yeah. So ShowMaker just cycling his flashback available again. Try and get ready to make a play. And DAMWON, they have to do something here, as Teddy struts just to get out of the way of all of those abilities flying at him from DAMWON.
ShowMaker trying to clear Effort, maybe looking for a hook on him.
Yep, keep your eyes on Canyon. Doesn't find that Q. He's the one that wants to start up these fights, but Teddy says no, he's just going to try and obliterate 4 people by themselves.
Oh, they're going to shred
and
the
then they just
Nexus!
buy space. Yep, this is just game over. T1 have turned around that game 1 loss and will take the 2-1 over DAMWON in the first match of 2020 Spring LCK.
This was 2 back-to-back major upsets at the dancing point of literally the game critical point. So,
but also
I
so
don't even know where I
beautifully
would-
done. I find this like really, really hard, right? Because we've had these conversations about like draft phase not working and you should be winning fights here, but you're not. But the fact that T1 had the finesse to outthink DAMWON in 2 team fights in a row to win a game at a state where they should have lost is beautiful to watch. Despite the fact that it is still a little bit heartbreaking, given the fact that it is sort of instilling in them this thought of, oh, we can pick this comp into this and everything will be fine.
yeah, and I mean, the big question for me is imagine if the roles were reversed and this kind of skill is actually being displayed in terms of managing to dance, managing to remain patient in the face of what looks like an immovable or an unstoppable object that is just driving straight towards you, and it doesn't look like there's a clear-cut answer for you. And so it goes both ways. If you're T1, do you walk away from this thinking that the draft is okay? And then if you're DAMWON, do you then walk away thinking that, oh, well, there was a problem with the draft? And that's where it starts to get really bizarre, where we talked about, well, if it's not broke, don't fix it, or does it appear broke, but it's actually not?
Yeah, or does it appear fixed, but it's actually broke? Like, it's where it's so difficult. But what's something I think everyone can agree on is it's just great to watch T1 play confident, late-game, intelligent League of Legends. And they did do that in most instances for the last 2 games. And despite it looking a little bit wonky when it came to things like draft and when they were winning and all this sort of stuff playing around compositions, this had like a few backfires. That one effort int was a huge problem. But that was one player's one mistake in Game 3 that I think was the only real blunder that T1 made in that game. Yes, it was almost the blunder that lost them the game, but still the only mistake that was made. And so you have to credit T1 on otherwise a pretty flawless game.
Yeah, I mean, it was really, really impressive. The game number 2 and game number 3 had extremely similar vibes to it, where they lost control of the game, the enemy team composition was online. It was clearly very scary, but all it took at the end was the Blitzcrank pull, Canyon going in while his team was separated. Some people, they might attribute it to Set. It had nothing to do with Set. Going in at the 3 champions, absolutely not. Blitzcrank dies, Canyon dies, they lose the Elder, they lose the Baron, they lose 3 inhibitors. And then, at the very end, DAMWON kept trying to just posture, and then T1 said, you know what, I'll just take your Nexus.
Yeah, that last fight was actually really beautifully done from Canyon. He still had some of these beautiful moments as Faker and ShowMaker having a bit of a face-off here in the mid lane, but none of them actually falling, as this moment, effort made up for that one almost game-losing play with that interrupt to lock down that first kill, and we saw Tank Set really come into his own for almost the first and only time in this game, in that particular fight. I think that was blind from effort. Well played. And this was that one moment that we were talking about. The big colossal error was made up for in the end after what was a continuation of that problem.
And this is where it really just looked like, well, this was the turning point.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, this was where
Slightly prior
DAMWON
to
should have
this.
been able to just get themselves into a winning scenario, given the fact
This
that they
is
did
where
have all of these scaling champions.
They
and all.
stabilized, they brought the game back to being winnable, and then right prior to the Elder Dragon, we don't actually get it in the replay, Kale had options to just actually stay in a side lane and then join the fight later via a teleport, but didn't end up trying to play out that sequence, even though there's no realistic answer to her in a side lane. We never saw that quite be utilized, and this was the parting team fight. The Blitz took into the Thresh Canyon, not realizing that his teammates weren't going to follow up.
3라인 들어가. 1분 16초.
Yeah. Listening in to the players here on the final push. Wish I could understand the Korean because I wanted to hear whether they're like, no, let's just not fight. Boot them away. Oh,
야, 끝내. 점사.
I liked it from Effort as well. He goes and gets the silence just to allow that extra couple of seconds for their 280 carries to win the team fight and, to just win the game by killing the Nexus. Sometimes you have to notice that you don't have to win a fight to win the game. And that's exactly what T1 did there towards the end. So you can see that blip of Effort's error towards the 38-minute mark, but otherwise it was pretty smooth sailing as you saw up until 28, 30 minutes. So T1 are victorious 2-1 over DAMWON. DAMWON the only team to really stay together after the off-season. Yes, Zephyr comes in as coach over Coach Kim. And I felt like we didn't really have that many opportunities to talk about the switch up of coaching style, but I have a feeling that even Coach Kim is going to change and adapt his style as well, because they have a lot of different analysts that are now looking at other regions, now doing a lot of research outside of Korea, which is not something that historically Korean teams have been doing. So Coach Kim having to work with a few extra friends this time around. So it's going to be Faker that picks up player of the game, player of the set actually. And yes, he got kicked back by Canyon a couple of times, but this survival was amazing, and his ability to take most of the plates on the map and then be the second 80 carry that T1 needed. Certainly beautiful to watch.
So Faker earning himself the double MVP, putting himself on the board.
Yeah, top of the board.
Yeah, top of the board. And there's a chance that he'll still be top at the end of tonight. So
we need another back-to-back MVP performance, and his ex-teammate could be the one to theoretically do it, as Clit is going to take the stage alongside his new teammates in Gen G with their cool new jerseys as well. Certainly looking fly after their update from the off-season. Fly, unfortunately, no longer on the team, so that pun didn't work.
That pun did not work. Leave it to Freak.
Yeah, a Freak. Huh? That was close to being
really,
a decent...
That was almost close.
Yeah,
that was almost
I didn't quite make it work, but you understood the thought process, and I'm glad that that's all that matters. We're just getting ready for an interview with Faker, back-to-back MVP holder, and I'm actually really excited about this in sort of a selfish way, because I want to hear from Faker what it was like over in T1 during the off-season and things like that. I know they got up to a lot of stuff, judging by T1's YouTube channel, but will certainly be fun to hear from him. So let's waste no more time and throw it over to G-Sun for some interview translation, as I'm slowing down because I'm pretty sure we're ready to head down there ASAP, and I'm like counting down in my head. Here we go. Interview time. So take it away, G-Sun.
T1이 8승승 역전승을 차지했습니다. 오늘 단독 MVP 차지한
Faker, the solo MVP to celebrate T1's first match of the splits.
소리가 안 들리니까 굉장히 어색한데.
It feels really awkward without the fans cheering for you.
화면 너머에 계시지만
So, any message for the fans?
여기에 직접 와주시지는
Well, fans weren't able to make it to the arena, but I'll always appreciate all the support from my fans. And thanks to you guys, I was able to get this win. So T1, actually the game was not easy. And also, in the pre-made content, Cuzz also mentioned that it will take some time for you guys to kind of gel into as a team, but you guys did manage to get a win. Well, result is what's really important, you know? So I'm really satisfied with the result that we got the win, but in terms of team fight and also my personal mistakes were not really clean, so we have to work on it. So, the biggest issue of this match was the trade of the coaching staff, Zephyr and Coach Kim. So for Coach Kim helping us to understand DAMWON Gaming, it was definitely really helpful because he knew the play styles and also habits of the players. So during our preparation, we got a lot of help from his information. After dropping that game number 1, you lost in LeBlanc to kind of bring the momentum back, right? I wanted to give a lot of pressure in the laning phase, but it didn't really work in that way.
초반에
However, in the mid and late
분위기라고
game,
저는 생각을 해서
well, LeBlanc is still strong.
의미 자체는 어느 정도 보여줬고
So I did
네, 그렇게
I did manage to show the
가지고
reason
시작했음에도
why
이번
we
초반에
picked LeBlanc as
최단
mid lane.
수비수는 항상 가지고 계신 건가요?
워낙 상대팀 조합에
Well, Damwon, their
자신이
composition,
있어서
it was good for
뽑았던 것
LeBlanc to
같고,
go against their composition.
한 것이 굉장히
But the first death
어이없는 실수를
was
해서
a very
마음이 아프긴 했지만
bad
그래도
mistake.
집중해서
So I was a little bit
끝까지
heartbroken,
이길 수 있었던 것
but
같아요.
I
네,
tried
맞습니다. 그리고
to focus back in
3세트에는
game, and thanks to all the help from my
굉장히
teammates, we were
오랜만에
able to
미드
get this win.
꺼내주셨어요. 이 선택은
In game
굉장히
3, you guys
오랜만에 페이크 선수의
locked
어떤
in Tristana
느낌이
for mid lane.
찾아왔나요? 어땠나요?
Long time no see. Did
조합상
you have
좋게
good feelings on this chat?
뭔가 좀 트리스타나가 요즘 재밌더라고요.
I mean, Tristana is really fun to play nowadays.
많이 연습을 했었는데
So I've been practicing it a lot.
상대팀에 케일이 나오기도 했고
And they
그래서
also
트리스타나를
had
하면
Kale on
좋을 것
their
같다 이렇게
side.
생각을
So we thought Tristana was a good pick.
조합을 염두에 두고 계셨어요.
So was the
저는 픽할 때부터
lane
수업을 염두에
rotation
뒀고
for Kale specific?
상대팀의
Yes, we thought of
픽도 저희가 많이
lane swap in terms of
어느
facing
정도는
Kale.
예상했기 때문에 수월하게 나왔던
And
것
we
같아요.
also expected a lot, predicted a lot of picks from Damwon. So I think things went as we planned.
보여드릴 텐데 이때 완전 실피를
So we
남기고
had
빠져나왔어요.
this
페이크
fancy
선수의
highlight
조합을
from
계산된
Tristana.
각이었는지
한번
여쭤볼게요.
빼고 해야 돼, 할 때.
네,
배팅이 먼저.
사실 계산일 수 있는데
Well, I can't say I
잠깐만,
calculated it,
근데 좀 세더라고요.
but
아우,
it was
가능한데.
stronger than I thought, to be honest.
미니언에서 한방 한 방이 좀 아프게 느껴지셨을 것 같아요.
다행히 좀
케일
좋게
노태.
살았던 것 같아요.
But I was lucky enough to kind of walk away alive. However, Kale is not a mainstream champion. How were you able to fight against
케일은
it?
제가 롤드컵 때 많이 상대를
Well, I
해봤기
did face it a
때문에
lot
그런 데
at
있어서
Worlds,
문제는
so there was no
없었던
big
것 같고,
problem.
그리고 뭐 연습 과정에서
And
이런저런
during the
픽들이 많이
practice,
나와서
we faced a lot of
어느 픽이
diversity of a lot of champions. So I think we are always ready for any kinds of champions. So for the Korean fans, Tristana, how do you call it? Tita or
제가
Titty?
이렇게 말했습니다. 트리스타나 할게요. 트리 할게요. 이렇게 말했습니다.
I said I'm gonna play
네,
Titty
알겠습니다.
when we are during our draft. So I'm confirming it's Titty for the Korean fans. How do you abbreviate Tristana? So you're going up against Hana Life Esports in your upcoming series.
네, 이제 이틀 뒤에 하나전
In 2 days, we are going against Hana Life.
지금까지 열심히 준비한 만큼
We've been
하나전도
preparing really
좋은 결과가
hard.
있을 거라고 예상하고 있고
So we're thinking of
아직
getting
저희가
another good
100%
result on that
합이
day.
아닌데
However, our
앞으로
teamwork is not
발전하는
100%,
모습을
but
여러분이 보시는 것도
it's gonna be another exciting journey for the fans to watch us completing our teamwork. I feel like we're hearing the crowd clapping for Faker, and it's the beginning of the spring split. So watch our
지난
goal.
스프링 때는 저희가
In
정규 시즌
last year's spring split,
아쉽게 놓쳤었는데
we failed to get the first place for the regular
저는
split,
개인적으로
but
정규 시즌 1등을
this
목표로
year,
하고 있고 충분히 할수
my
있다고
goal is
생각해서
making it to the first place for the regular
앞으로
split.
남은 경기 좀
So
집중해서 잘 해보도록 하겠습니다.
I'm gonna do my best to concentrate and focus on our upcoming matches.
응원 많이 보내주시고요. 오늘 개막전 첫 경기.
So this will be the first interview of 2020 LCK, and I'm gonna hand it back to our casters. Thank you.
자, 두 번째 경기 이제 기다려 주시고요. 페이커 선수는 보내드릴게요. 오늘 고생하셨습니다. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
Thank you so much, Ji-sun, for the interview translation. Great to hear from Faker. That is going to conclude our first series of the night. What's this? What's happening right now?
I'm sorry.
To be honest, I thought you had like an idea planned, and then you just stayed there. And I'm like, well, I guess there's just no plan.
I
This is
hadn't
just, like,
noticed that I
getting close.
gravitated over to you.
Ah. I was using my gravitum.
Yeah. Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Oh,
You just get an
that's
Aphelios joke?
Oh, Aphelios.
Latios.
Yeah, Latios.
Like,
Latios.
yeah, Latios? I still think you're
Latios.
talking about the Pokemon. Latias or Latios? I guess it doesn't. I guess it'll just depend
I don't even
on
remember,
whether he's
yeah.
blue or red, given
Yeah.
the skin that he chose. Or
What if it's a shiny?
Not entirely sure, but thankfully we're being saved by the bell. Stick around, guys, because we've got Genji versus KT right after the break. It's going to be starting 9 p.m. KST. It's about 30 minutes or something like that. So go grab something to eat, grab a coffee, something like that, and we'll see you after the break.